what's going on, America, what's going on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, platforms that I'm currently not banned on as of yet, which we're still working on. We've got Tank Machine in the house with us today.
Yeah.
If you follow Tank, he actually just had his Instagram page taken down.
Fucking, they got me, man.
Welcome to the club, bro. Welcome to the club. They sucked my big account and they got yours, and yeah, but we're gonna friggin' we'll figure out a way.
It's to be expected.
It's to be expected. So there's just a lot of news to cover, but Tank's coming in. Appreciate you stopping by and giving me some of your time. So for those that don't know Tank was a Marine Corps veteran. I know we don't say former Marine because then people get pissed off about that. Like Marines especially get super offended. So
Really butthurt.
Really butthurt, yeah. Okay. So what do you got going on in your world right now?
Dude, I'm doing whatever the fuck I want. I just, I quit the cop job like 3 months ago and been working with you a little bit on the side and just hanging out and traveling, man. That's it.
Where you been traveling to?
Wherever the fuck I want to be.
Wherever the fuck I want. Okay,
Dude, so Sam and I went up to Colorado, Idaho, Montana, Washington, which is beautiful, but it's a fucking rat hole. Oregon, we went through Portland, and I tried to go talk shit to protesters, but they blocked the streets, so there's
like
no way.
Antifa and shit?
Oh, yeah. And, well, all the cops, too, they're like, hey, you don't want to come in here right now, so we went south down into California, which is another rat hole, and back to...
I'm noticing a trend of these places you're visiting.
Dude.
Like, there's a trend here.
Well, it's changed in the last, 5 years. Back when I was working doing stuff for Black Rifle Coffee, all I did was travel then. And so I found all the most beautiful places. That's it, dude. It was like I'd find a place on the map and I would go and I'd figure life out and I would sling coffee in the stores or whatever it was. And then I thought, she's never seen any of these places. I want to take her to some of them. Dude, everything is completely changed.
You've got COVID now, by the way.
Probably. I probably had it for the last 10 years. But everything is completely fucking changed, man. Like now, all these new rules and the policies and everything has ruined everything, dude. It is. Most of the places are fucking disgusting now, and it's sad.
It seems like. Yeah, like I said, there seems to be a trend here that when certain types of leadership take over, the feelings gets involved, and then people just start to notice, like, you know what? Maybe under Democratic leadership, it turns to shit.
Dude.
Like, Trump even said that the other day, when it goes woke, it turns to shit.
Yeah.
He's right. He's 100% right.
100%, man.
So that's cool. So you've been doing the traveling thing.
Yeah, I've been doing the traveling. I've been home for 3 weeks now. We leave for Florida. We're going to go to South Florida. Beginning of September, we have a wedding to go to, and then we've been kind of looking for property down in the Everglades. So we'll see how that goes. Probably going to sit my ass on the beach for a couple weeks and try to figure life out,
So you've got some questions you want me to ask you here. So yeah, now I know you did take a social media break.
Yeah, I did for 2 years.
2 years because you were stressed the fuck out. Like,
dude,
people don't realize that the influencer life is not everything people think it's cracked up to be. Because when you are as outspoken as you are, and you and I go way back because I know how both of us, our personalities are. Like when you're as outspoken as you are, you're going to be met with intense, insane resistance, and that becomes a very And and the reason it gets so difficult, and this is just my opinion, is because you read the comments, you read your messages because you want to be engaged with your audience, but with that comes so much negativity, and then if you don't read your comments and you don't read your messages, they accuse you of not giving a fuck about your audience or supporting them.
100%.
So you said you took a break. What was the cause? And so your question is,
I guess we'll get to the questions in a second,
Okay.
because I want to answer. I want to answer what you're asking me right now. So when I originally got onto social media, it wasn't to have fame or fortune. It was just because I was lashing out at the world because I was fucking angry at the time.
Oh, I know all about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I got. I went through I was married at the time, and I was getting a divorce, and things were not going right for me, especially after doing 13 years in the Marines and getting out, trying to figure my life out, which I know that a lot of veterans struggle with that.
Yeah.
And so I was just doing these crazy-ass videos, not giving a fuck what people said about them.
Videos,
Dude, all the freedom videos, and I was, putting on wigs and running into stores and, scaring the shit out of people. It was a lot of fun. And it was literally what I would just gym up in my head when I'd sleep, and then I would put it to paper the next day, and then I would try to put it to video. But you were right, man. I got met with mass resistance, and a lot of the shaming that I got was, unfortunately, from the veteran community.
100%.
Oh, you're a horrible representation of what we should represent. And I'm like, Dude, there's so many fucking veterans that screw the fucking world every day. And I'm just sitting here trying to make funny videos. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So I just continued down that path, and over time, and it was like I was living in hell. You know, I had a lot of supporters, a lot of people that were like, dude, this is hilarious. I need this every day.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, at the time, my mind wasn't strong enough to see that. I wasn't on the path that I needed to be on in my head, because I was drinking every day. And when I was seeing all the negativity, I let it get to me. And ultimately, it started to run me down, and I started to lose the things that I love the most. And then one day, I think I was like 3 years into social media. I just was like, as a matter of fact, yeah, it was about 2 to 3 years I'd been into social media, and I just cut it all cold turkey. And I got hired at a sheriff's office as a patrol deputy. I went back to the police academy.
How difficult was that, being that you're very outspoken on social media? Because I remember I had actually looked into recruitment for the Dallas Police Department, just putting the feelers out there, and they were like, based upon your social media, probably not going to happen, because any lawyer would rip you apart in freaking court because of your outspokenness. They could basically show bias for an arrest, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
It's like your outspokenness would not be allowed. So how difficult was that for you to get hired at that sheriff's department?
It
knowing
wasn't
your status.
Well, it wasn't that difficult, because I had already deleted everything and told them that I had moved on from those days. However, they had asked me, "Hey, have you ever done anything in regards to racism or whatever?" And I was like, "Fuck no, I'm not a racist person.
Yeah.
Everybody, to me, if you act stupid, you're a piece of shit, no matter who the fuck you are or what your color is of your skin." So I didn't say it like that blatantly.
Yeah.
However, they did a vetting of my old social media as much as they could, and most of it had been deleted, and they didn't see a problem in it. They were like, "Look, you were just nuts." I mean, if you go to court, for whatever reason, you'd have to go to court, and say an attorney brought that up, my fight and my battle would be, look, I haven't done this in 3 years. I've completely changed my life.
People don't care about that.
And they don't give a shit. However, that would be the only fight that I'd have going to court. And I've been to court before, and nothing had ever been brought up. But
so when you were taking your break on social media, that's when you went to the sheriff's department. So how long were you with the sheriff's department?
2 years.
2 years, and you just recently quit. You said,
Yeah.
What was the reason behind that?
Dude, the politics, I mean, I was a fucking damn good cop. I say that with 100% confidence in myself. I was a damn good cop. I gave a fuck about being in the community. I was very proactive, which a lot of departments don't like really proactive cops. I wanted to chase drugs, man. I wanted to chase murderers. I wanted to chase child rapists. Like that was what I enjoyed, and over time it started to come out that I had a big social media prior, YouTube and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
And so other cops were talking about it, and I had heard a rumor that I had gotten selected to come because of who I was prior. And I was like, well, that's fucking bullshit.
If anything, you'd be met with more resistance.
Right? And then on top of that, man, like, it is a cutthroat community being a cop, because especially if you're a really good cop, the ones that you're outshining, you're making them look like shit.
Yeah.
So they start talking mad shit about you.
Oh, yeah.
So they're like, yo, slow down, dude. Like, chill the fuck out, whatever. Like, oh, you don't got to do that. And then you start hearing rumors about yourself that are just untrue. Yeah. It's the same thing, dude, as in the military, or you're in fucking middle school, stupid-ass rumors. It's a bunch of bullshit. And then the politics, man, with all the changes and everything else, I enjoyed taking photos with kids. I never said, hey, I want to take a photo with your kid. It was parents who would ask me, hey, can I take a picture with my children with you? And I'll give it to you, or I'll share it. And I would love that. This is great. So I was trying to change the face of the community with all the nonsense that's been going on.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of departments just don't want fucking change, or they're afraid of heavy hitters like I was, who would literally go out and I would find some shit and I'd get into some shit. I'd catch myself in a bad situation, and then there's press that comes with that, and so on and so forth. So I just one day, man, January 17th, I got in a fight with a guy for my life. And it changed my life forever. And I started to stew on that, and I thought, dude, cops are getting paid fucking minimal for maximum work, and then they're still getting shit on at the end of the day. What am I doing with my life right now when I just could be sitting on the beach? So it was time for me to go.
When you quit, like, was it like a scene out of like one of those like sitcoms to where like the chief is sitting at his desk like a cigar, like the suspenders, and you're like, you're a damn good cop, Tank. I don't want to see you to go, and you slam your badge down and then your gun, and it's like, you can't handle it. Just like, was there anything like that, or were you just kind of like, fuck
no,
you,
dude,
I'm out?
No, they were fucking. I think they were mad. They tried to be professional about it, but I had just gotten selected to an investigator spot, which was also like a recruiter spot as well.
Yeah, because you were posting pictures in civvies too with your badge.
Yeah. So I was in a suit and tie every day basically, and I had only been there 3 to 4 weeks, and I walked in and I was like, you know what, I'm done. And the captain was like, wait, like let's figure this out. Even the chief had said, hey, you know, hang in there for me, like let's figure this out. And I said, no, it's time for me to go. When I know it's time, it's time. And sometimes people hang in there a little bit too long, and then they end up screwing themselves.
Yeah.
And, you know, here we are. You know, the department, there's been a ton of people who have quit recently from what I'm hearing. And
a lot of that I'm wondering, because I remember there's people like Greg Anderson that came out on social media back when they were doing all the mask mandates and stuff like that. Like, it feels like there's a lot of cops that
is
are
that
actually standing.
the cop that was like he's a wrestler or jiu-jitsu guy? Yeah. I saw that video actually.
Yeah, he went viral, but it was like such a it was met with a lot of positivity and a lot of negativity. But he was right. Like, I just listened to his podcast with Andy Frisella about cops enforcing these illegal mandates, these basically closing down these private businesses, all these things that have been going on for the last since early 2020. And it seems like cops right now, many cops are getting a very bad rap, and deservedly so, for enforcing these illegal mandates coming from these tyrannical governors. And now the thin blue line, it's shaky. Like, there's a lot of people like, you know what, I supported you guys when you were doing the right thing, but a lot of you motherfuckers are actually doing the wrong thing now, thinking you're doing the right thing. It's like your responsibility is to the Constitution, to the rights of the citizenry, not these tyrannical governors trying to impose these ridiculous mandates. Did you ever have to deal with any of that?
Dude, no. Our sheriff was totally against that bullshit. You know, the Governor Abbott, the Texas governor, came out and said, hey, here's the guidelines. We followed the guidelines. However, we never wore masks. That's just truth. I never wore a mask one time as a cop. And then, you know, I'll give you an example. We go to Domino's one day because I get a call. This guy's freaking out about a fucking mask. The Domino's employee is not wearing a mask. I get there. This old fuck is like, he's like, hey, they're not wearing a goddamn mask. We need to fucking fix this now. It's a law. And so I literally said, where is it a fucking law? Show me that it's a law that you have to wear a mask. It's on private property, and the owner of that private property said that his employees don't have to wear a fucking mask. So then I pulled out the governor's order, and I said, look, you don't even have to wear a mask if you don't want to. But when you're on private property at some businesses and they want you to wear a mask, then I have to tell you, hey, you got to leave. That's it.
That's the difference between
it's called trespassing.
Versus private business. I fully support that.
100%. So do I. It's a choice, and in the end, those were the type of problems that I ran into. However, my sheriff, literally, he looked everybody in the eye and said, you will not write citations for people not wearing masks. We're not taking people to jail. We're not forcing people in the back of our cars. Like, there's not going to be any of that nonsense. It probably in a little bit more professional manner, but it was clear, hey, you don't have to wear a fucking mask.
Yeah.
And I hated wearing a mask. I went into a call one time, John. Her husband, the call was, he's choking to death on a chicken bone. So I'm flying, dude. I'm doing like 120 miles an hour because I'm the closest to it. And I'm like, dude, he's going to fucking die. A chicken bone will kill you.
Yeah.
So I show up. I don't have a mask on. The lady opens the door. I look on the floor, and her husband is blue on the floor. She goes, can you please put on a mask before you come in here? And I said, get the fuck out of my way. Your husband's dying on a chicken bone. And I would like pushed her out of the way, and I went in there, dude. Ambulance shows up at the same time. We end up getting the chicken bone out of his throat. Crazy as shit. But to think that she was more worried about we wearing a fucking mask,
as soon as you like
she wasn't.
As soon as you resuscitated him, you should have like pulled him aside, like, look, bro, you should know this about your old lady. You were about to die, and all she cared
get
about
rid of
was
her
the
fucking
mask.
ass.
Like, you were literally on the ground, and she was fighting at the
Yes.
front door. So you might want to rethink this marriage. I don't know if the pussy is that good.
Oh my god!
I mean, she
man.
sounds like she's probably like overweight, mid-50s, not very attractive.
Dude, she was just about. And I'm like, are
like
you
a
fucking
mask
kidding
Karen,
me?
a Karen mask.
Dude, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You want me to put on a mask and your husband's
finish.
blue?
I'm gonna let you finish. Like, she's talking like, I'm gonna let you finish choking, but first, I need you to put on a mask.
Yeah,
Shut
I'm like,
the
let me
fuck
walk
up.
back to my patrol unit and grab one for you real quick. If he dies, he dies, because you can't fucking take care of it.
There are people this stupid in our society. They are literally that stupid.
100%, man.
Fucking sheep, like clowns. And they said one of the wildest calls you got as a cop.
Oh, dude.
And I imagine you have like quite a lot of good stories.
Bro, there's 100 fucking good stories, but this one will always stick with me because it's actually hilarious. It's like a high intense situation, but it's one of the most hilarious things ever because a lot of people don't believe this type of shit happens every day. But I've been asked about this multiple times from people, and so I had just taken this guy to jail for stealing a vehicle. I had actually made a traffic stop earlier in the day, and I was working in the country. So I made a traffic stop. I take this guy to jail. He's he's 19 years old. He's got a felony warrant for stealing cars. So he's screaming in the back for his mom, and he's crying like immensely. And I'm like, dude, this is fucking crazy. You're a grown-ass man, and you're crying for your mama. So I get him up to the
He
jail.
was literally crying for his mom.
Dude, he was like, mama, like that. So I'm like, dude, this has never happened. Nothing can get crazier than what just happened right now. So I get this motherfucker to the jail. I do my affidavit.
I think it's good. I think it's all right.
I do my affidavit. I get him dropped off. So it's like 8 o'clock at night, and I'm heading 35 South to go down to the patrol office because I got to finish up some paperwork, and I'm off by 10. But I'm driving in the far left lane, and there's this blue, like 1995 Honda Accord in front of me, and the license plate is flapping up in the air, and it's like weaving in and out of traffic a little bit. And I'm like, okay, well, there's 2 violations right there: failure to maintain single lane, and you got an obscured license plate. I can't read it, so I could pull you over anyway.
Yeah.
So I have probable cause to initiate a traffic stop. Well, all of a sudden, I put on my high beams, and I see this guy looking in the rear view, and then he goes from the far left 4 lane all the way to 1, just swerves all the way over, and there's an exit, and I'm like, fuck that. Dude, I go wham, and I get right behind him, and I'm like, there's a reason why he just did that. So without even thinking of anything, I just initiate my lights to get him pulled over. We're still on the highway. So obviously, as he's slowing down, the license plate comes down. I call it out, and they can't find anybody on the license plate, and I'm like, this is fucking weird. So I block off the 1 lane, and I do a passenger side approach.
And this is still with the 19-year-old dude in the back.
No, he's already in jail.
Oh, okay.
I'd already dropped him off. So this is right after that. So
Okay.
I was thinking, like, there's no fucking way things could get crazier, right?
Yeah.
So I do a passenger side approach. I'm coming up slow. He's looking left. I look in the back floorboard with my flashlight. I got like a 1500 lumen flashlight. I don't see shit. And I go, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? He's like, oh, shit. He's like, oh, hey, what's up, dude? He automatically, I've never seen this before in my life, water just starts pouring down. So immediately I'm thinking, he's got a felony warrant. He's a drug runner. Something's going on. He's shaking. Does he got a gun? So I'm kind of at this point on high fucking alert. So I tell him, I'm like, hey, man, do me a favor, put your hands on the steering wheel because you're making me real fucking nervous with how bad you're sweating and you're shaking. I was like, hey, so here's the reasons for the traffic stop, and you got your driver's license on you, insurance on the vehicle. And he's like, oh, yeah, no, I don't have a driver's license. And I was like, well, then what are you driving a vehicle for? So now I'm open probing him.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, man, is there anything illegal in the vehicle? And he's like, no, I ain't got no fucking nothing illegal. I ain't got no drugs. I ain't got nothing. I said, I didn't say anything about drugs. So automatically I'm thinking, oh, now there's fucking drugs. So all of a sudden, I'm looking at him. I'm like, look, you're not leaving this traffic stop until I identify you. And he goes, all right, man, I got my driver's license. So he pulls it out. I said, just give me your wallet. He hands me his wallet, and it's soaking wet. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why is this guy sweating so much? It's 8 p.m. at night.
Yeah.
The sun at the time was going down to like 5:30.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, man, I don't know. Here's why I made the lane change the way I did, so on and so forth. And I'm like, all right, well, hey, I want you to sit right here and don't get out of the vehicle. So I said, hey, start me more units. The guy's acting a little crazy. So that means, hey, I don't need him to hurry up. I just need other units in case something happens.
Yeah.
So I get his ID, and I'm back in the patrol unit, and I run him immediately. Boom. He's got a felony warrant for ag assault. I believe it was on a peace officer or something else, which is like, holy fuck. So I'm like, oh, shit. So as soon as I see this warrant pull up on my MCT, dude, I look in the car, and I see a fucking gun. And I'm like, oh, goddamn. So I see a cylinder object this way, something coming out of his hand in this way, and it's a little bit dark, but I can see it, and I see him do something with it. So I said, hey, close the channel. I need all units responding code now, which means, like, hurry the fuck up. This guy's got a gun. I was like, I think he has a gun. So, dude, I'm like, driver, put your fucking hands on the steering wheel, whatever I was saying at the time. I don't really remember. So I wait. All of a sudden, boom, all these units start showing up for my backup. So I do another approach to the vehicle, and I'm like, hey, give me your fucking hands. Get out of the car now. So I go up there. I end up pulling the guy out of the car, and I cuff him. So at this point, he's detained because I got to confirm on the warrant. So he's not in custody as of yet, but I got one detained. Dude, I'm patting him down, and I'm like, yo, what the fuck is this, like, grease? So I had it all over my gloves. And I tell him, I'm like, hey, dude, I'm going to get you back to the patrol unit, and we're going to go from there. I get him in the back of the unit. I say, is there anything I'm going to find illegal in the car? And he's like, no, nothing. I go back to the car. Mind you, I did a sweep of the car the last time I was there, right? And I thought that there might be a gun. So I'm like, where's the gun? He's like, I ain't got no fucking gun. Dude, I go to the back seat, and there's like a 9-inch fucking purple dildo with shit on it. And I look, and my partner's like, yo, what the fuck is that? And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, dude, that wasn't there when I pulled him over originally. So the goddamn gun that I thought he pulled was a fucking dildo. So I was like, okay, what the fuck is just happening? So I go back to my patrol unit, and I was like, hey, man, I just killed him.
Did the dude have it in his ass when you pulled it
Bro,
over?
let me finish.
Oh, my God.
So I go back to my patrol unit, and I go, hey, man, I was like, look, my camera's off right now. I just need the truth from you. I was like, where's the gun at? He's like, there's no goddamn gun. I was like, okay, where'd the dildo come from? He goes, I fucking pulled it out of my ass. He's like, I knew I was going to fucking jail on this goddamn warrant, so I pulled the fucking dildo out of my ass, man. And he's like, you fucking got me. And I was like, oh, shit. So I was like, okay, well, let me go back to the car because I'm going to search it, whatever. So I go back to the car, dude. I search it. I find a couple needles that are loaded and shit. And I'm like, okay, so there was drugs in there. He's like, I knew I got a fucking felony warrant. He's like, I saw you pull up behind me, and that's why I went from the lane that I did all the way over because I was trying to get away because I didn't want to go to jail with this dildo in my ass. And I was like, oh, my fucking God. So I get him to jail, and I tell the people that are pulling him in, one of my buddies works at the jail that I went to high school with. I was like, hey, bro, this motherfucker pulled a huge cock out of his ass, so he might have something else shoved in there, so you're going to have to cavity check him. He's like, are you fucking serious? I was like, yeah. Dude, no shit. That stuff happens all the fucking time. Cops will put people over, especially people who do methamphetamine.
Yeah.
And you'll find dildos in their bags and stuff. They get off on that when they shoot meth or whatever it is. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? This dude was a meth head, and he would literally shoot meth, and he would shove dildos in his ass on his way home before he'd go home to see his wife. That's what he told me. As I'm getting him in jail, I was like, "That's the weirdest shit I've ever fucking."
I've
seen
never
in
heard of
my
anything
life,
like
dude.
that. Yeah.
So I thought that my day was over, dude. I had to like, I didn't even touch the dildo. I was like, "This is fucking disgusting." There's no evidence, and he just had that's your fetish, whatever. But it was the nastiest shit. And the weirdest thing, man, after that was I started finding dildos like a motherfucker. in the cars that I would
You're
search.
like the dildo whisperer.
Yeah, dude, the dildo whisperer, straight up. I'm finding this shit all the time. So that story, man, like, it just went through the department, and everybody thought it was the funniest shit ever. And I'm like, dude, it was fucking disgusting. So it was on my camera, so all the cops would watch it, and they would, like, laugh about it. But it was fucking nasty, man. I'm like, how did this happen to me this day? And this motherfucker's got a 9-inch dildo in his ass when I pulled him over, and that's why he swerved the way he did. He almost crashed.
These are the stories that you don't see on like Cops Live or
No, bro.
like 911
And I have
or
so many other stories that are unbelievable.
yeah, the suspect has a dildo, 8-inch
he's
approximately,
gonna
still
be-
shit on the
he's
tip in the
beating
back
you with his
seat.
dildo right now. You gotta be shitting me.
By any chance, did he have a Biden sticker on his car anywhere, or a Beto sticker anywhere?
He's like, yeah, man, I voted for Biden.
Oh, that figures. Let him go. Let him go.
Yeah, I'd be like,
he's
you know what?
heading down to the freaking border to do some
You're
fighting.
not one of a kind. This is your kind. You're free to go, my friend.
Oh my
Fucking
fuck,
asshole,
dude.
man.
A purple 8-inch dildo with
Dude,
shit on the tip.
It was fucking huge, and it had shit all over it. And I was like, yo, this is fucking weird, man.
I never knew that about freaking meth heads, like getting off on like sticking things up their ass.
Dude,
I didn't know that was a thing, like a product of methamphetamines.
I didn't know either, but
It's like, you know what would go good with this heroin? Something large up my ass.
Dude,
Like, I don't think the
100%.
two go together. It's not like you
100%.
smoke weed. It's like, okay, I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'm going to get Little Debbie snack cakes, something to drink, and something to stuff up my ass.
fucking disgusting, man. And the more people that I pulled over that I would take to jail for methamphetamine, I would find some of the weirdest shit in their cars. And it was, dude, I'm like,
Like, what else? What else did you find?
fuck, man. I found stacks of pornography in this one guy's car, and he had
Like, who collects pornography anymore?
Dude, he had these like
magazines, or?
he had this. There were some Playboys, Hustlers, all that other bullshit, but he had this like in the bag that they were all in. He had this long like beaded thing that you could turn on. And I was like, hey, man, what the fuck is this? And my partner was there, and I just pulled it out, and I was like, what is this? And he was
Anal
like,
beads?
he's like, man, will you put that back? He's like, that's my property. And I was like, I'm searching because you got fucking meth. I have a lawful right. And my partner was like, yeah, those those are anal beads. And I was like, what the fuck?
Oh my
Dude,
god.
it looked like one of those old like snakes that you played
Yeah.
with when you were a kid, you know?
Yep. Oh yeah, the ones that went like
But
side to
this one, there's
side.
a button on it that you push and you shove it in your ass and you push the button and it fucking and it like lights up your asshole, I guess. And he's like, just put it back. That's my property.
He's
And I
like
was
trying to be like a lightning bug with something up your ass, like little
Dude,
beads hanging out.
Yeah, I'm just like, what the fuck, man? This never fails. And so always wear gloves. All the cops out there that are going to watch this, I'm just reminding you to always wear gloves.
God forbid you run into an 8-inch purple dildo with shit on it. So
So disgusting, man.
is the audio okay? Is the audio good? All right, should be good. Bro, like, kudos to the cops that go out there and deal with shit like that, no pun intended. Being that you said pornography, we're going to get into the Afghanistan issue. I could just imagine your face, like, dealing with shit like that.
100%.
So, speaking of pornography and stuff like that, this just came across my news feed yesterday. And this did not age well. Adult film star Ron Jeremy indicted on rape and other sexual assault charges. Now, here's the crazy. Now, for those that don't know, Ron Jeremy was our generation's, like, fucking John Holmes. They called him, like, the hedgehog. Like, I never understood, like, why this guy got famous in porn. Like, he's, like, a short little dude, very hairy.
It's fucking disgusting.
He made an appearance in, like, Boondock Saints.
Yeah.
But the CNN article basically says porn star Ron Jeremy has been indicted on more than 30 counts of sexual assault involving 21 women over the past 2 decades, the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office announced Wednesday. Jeremy, whose legal last name is Hyatt, is accused of sexually assaulting the women over a 23-year span between 1996 and 2019. According to the District Attorney's Office, the victims range in age from 15 to 51.
Wow.
Jeremy pleaded not guilty to 12 counts of forcible rape, 7 counts of forcible oral copulation, 6 counts of sexual battery by restraint, 4 counts of sexual penetration by a foreign object, 2 counts of sexual penetration of an unconscious or asleep person, and 1 count each of lewd act upon a child under the age of 14 or 15, sodomy by use of force, and assault with intent to commit rape, the district attorney's office said. His position is the same as when the criminal complaint was filed. Jeremy's attorney, Stuart Goldfarb, said in a statement to CNN, he is innocent of all charges. 30 charges.
Wow.
From 1996 to 2019. Like, holy fuck.
So
Now, again, innocent until proven guilty. Like, but something like this, like that does. I mean, and he's in porn too.
I'll
So-
tell you what, man, like I think sometimes people they'll leave that industry and they have fetishes.
Mhm.
You know, that could be
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah.
could be a thing. I mean, I've met a porn star one time, this guy, I'll leave him unnamed, but he told me, he's like, dude, I started doing porn because I've been abused
Yeah.
really heavily in my life.
Yeah.
And he was like, it's kind of a release for me. And he's like,
Yeah.
I love abusing women. And I was like, what the fuck?
Mm.
And then he's like, I mean, I don't know,
Yeah.
I get paid to abuse them,
Right.
but it's a fetish for me.
Consensual.
Yeah,
Right.
so it's a consensual thing, and I'm like, well, okay. I don't really. That doesn't sit well with me, but in the end, if he gets paid and it's consensual,
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah.
But sometimes I think that people in that position could
Mhm.
step outside of their box
Oh,
in
yeah.
a personal life, and they could take it a fucking
far.
same thing too far, and then.
Well, the
you're
problem
in
that
a
we're seeing
shitty
with stuff
situation.
like this is, take for example, like when Christine Ballsy Ford was accusing Brett Kavanaugh, a Supreme Court justice nominee from Trump,
yeah.
and basically accusing him of rape from 30 years prior.
Yeah.
And then all the liberal left jumped on this, like a Melissa Milano, and they tried to ruin this guy's life
for
with
sure.
literally just no more proof than a testimony. And testimony isn't proof. That's just an
100%.
accusation. Proof is actually showcasing evidence that basically proves what you're saying is right.
Absolutely.
And so I just read an article about, you remember that old Nirvana cover album of the naked baby chasing the dollar?
talking about
in
the
pool?
kid who's fucking suing
He's
him now?
suing him now.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing about it is that same motherfucker has taken pictures all throughout the years doing the same
Yeah.
pose in the pool.
Yep.
And now he's wanting to sue the band. So
Absolutely.
when stuff like that happens, it makes you look at what Ron Jeremy's facing. Okay, is this legit? Or are these people with vendetta that are trying to weaponize rape and things such as that?
100%.
It's like you don't know where the truth is. Like where's the truth lie between false accusations and people actually committing these crimes? And
I would
that's what
say,
sucks.
Show me the fucking proof, man.
Yeah.
In the end, there are women out there and men
Oh,
who
yeah.
have been abused,
Oh yeah.
and sometimes they fail to speak up because they're afraid of repercussion or backlash.
Mhm.
And then sometimes there's a domino effect of I'm gonna fucking speak up. Finally,
Yeah.
I don't have proof, but here's my testimony,
Mhm.
which leads to other people saying,
Yeah.
"Hey, it happened to me too. Thank you for speaking up. You were my voice, and now I have a voice."
And the problem with that, though, and I get what you're saying, and it makes sense. There's a lot of people that are pressured to like not say anything because they feel guilty, they feel ashamed, And I'm not knocking that. It's just that the people that weaponize these things for political purposes and clout, they're the ones that are undermining actual victims that are wanting to come forward and say, look, this person raped me, abused me, whatever. But you have these idiots like fucking Alyssa Milano and they're like this Christine Ballsy Ford that literally had no proof, they had no evidence, and they just want people to believe their word and ruin a man's life and send him to jail. Like, fuck no. So all these idiots out there that were saying believe all women, it's like, you better wait until that fucking role is reversed and these men are accusing you of rape, and then we have to believe all men.
Dude, this leads me into a call that I was on one time. Not to get off the subject.
Go for it.
This is direct proof of what you're saying. I had a call when I was just starting out, and obviously there will be no names said in this, but I get a call from this guy. Well, dispatch gets a call from this guy. We get dispatched to a sexual assault. We show up. Guy's out in the front yard. He's crying and he's angry. He's got a little bit of alcohol in his breath, and he's like, "My wife was sexually assaulted last night by somebody that I invited to the party." And I'm like, that's fucking crazy. Well, what had happened was he gets drunk, she gets drunk, other people get drunk in the house. He goes to bed, goes to sleep. Wife is in the bathroom, laying on the floor, feeling sick. All of a sudden, something happens, and she is having sex with somebody. Said, I had my eyes closed, thought it was my husband. Next thing I know, somebody was taking a picture of me, and it was this one guy.
Yeah.
And I won't put too much more detail into that because, I don't know if it's, I think the case is closed, but it could be still ongoing. So anyway, I take the sexual assault report, and dude, I'm fucking like, I'm sitting there and I'm shaking listening to her story because I'm like, what the fuck, are you serious? And I'm still trying to figure shit out too, but I'm like, wow, this is so sad. And I'm like, hey, we're gonna get you the help that you need. So we got her transported by her family to the hospital. They did a kit on her. She was well taken care of. I said in the interview where her husband was telling what had happened, she's telling what happened. And months pass after all this is filed. Come to find out, she admitted to lying. She just made it up.
Why?
She fucking made it up because her husband, she had allegedly or apparently or whatever word I need to use in this, her husband had woken up and she didn't want to get caught.
So she was cheating and then claimed rape.
She told him, oh, he raped me. And her husband was a mean son of a bitch, dude. Like, I was like, oh, this guy's violent. I even told the guy, I was like, hey, man, don't go taking things in your own hands. He's like, and he looked at me and he's like, oh, I won't. And I'm like, oh, shit, he's gonna. So come to find out, dude, she ended up admitting that she lied. She made it up. I don't know if they're still together to this day, but, dude, that would tell me, fuck you, I'm not staying. I'm never going to be with you.
I mean, that whole situation, though, if you have a guy that's super violent and she didn't want to tell him the truth because she was afraid of his violence, yet she's cheating on him, like, that situation, those two do not need to be together.
No, 100% not. And I don't know if it was because of his violence or whatever, but I could just tell that the guy, could do some damage if he was truly pissed off enough, you know, which I would have been too if my wife was abused. But in the end, she admitted to lying, and it caused this fucking like tidal wave of shit. And 5-6 months later, I'm asking about. I'm like, dang, what happened to them? And then somebody tells me, oh, dude, she admitted to lying. I'm like, wow, you got to be fucking shitting me. So it happens, man. I don't know for the case of Ron Jeremy. I don't know if it's true or not. In the end, it's just got to play out with evidence.
Yeah,
and that's the only way that I see it.
And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, you don't believe all women. Due process is needed. Hey, Josh, if you're watching, they're saying that Tank's audio is kind of low. We need to turn him up. Stuff like that's just, and that's.
Do I need to just like deep throat this thing?
No, we gotta fix the audio. Like we've been having some audio problems with the audio keeps fading and coming back. I'll get Josh to come in here and turn your audio up.
Cool.
But it's sad to see stuff like that. There he is. No, and when people come out there and they speak out against things like that and they say, hey, we do have to have due process. Because I have a very good friend of mine, and she's more of a progressive. She's, I think, socially liberal.
Yeah.
But she was also sexually assaulted. And she was basically trying to tell me, she's like, John, a lot of these women are afraid to come forward because, again, they feel the shame and things like that. She goes, but if we have no proof, what are we supposed to do? It's like, look, I can't answer that. I was like, but you cannot expect people to just blindly believe you and risk ruining somebody's life because something bad happened to you.
Absolutely.
I was like, you've got to have that proof. So that's why it's like when women or men are sexually abused or assaulted or raped, immediately go and document it. Go get the kit done. Go. And I know you
100%.
feel shamed. I understand that. But if you truly want to make your abuser pay, if you want to have justice, then you've got to do this. There's no other way. Like, I hate saying that there's such a fine line between black and white as far as right and wrong. It's like, but what do you expect? If you know how the process is and you know the repercussions if you are quiet or if you are not quiet, I mean, what you can't expect people. And I told her, like, I want to believe you, but at the same token, what if you were me and I said, hey, your dad raped me and I have no proof, and I'm calling for his life to be ruined? It's like, what are you supposed to believe?
Yeah.
It's literally my word versus his. And I want to identify with you. I want to support you, but without due process and proof, I can't do that. And I'm not saying you're a liar. I'm saying, but without the proof, you're stuck in limbo.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I'll tell you. It's no secret that I was abused as a child. I've talked about this multiple times. I think you and I have actually had this conversation. I had a lady tell me one time. She's like, "You don't know what it's like." And I looked at her and I said, with all due respect, I fucking do.
Yeah.
Dude, I was raped when I was a kid multiple times by somebody, and I know that pain because it changes your entire fucking path of your life. And here I was, speaking out when I was 10 or 11 years old, finally, because it happened when I was 5, 6, 7 years old.
And you don't know any better.
Dude, this motherfucker locked me in the closet, and I remember him putting a revolver to my head one day, and he told me, he said, if you tell your mom or anybody, I'm going to kill you, your sisters, your mom, your dad, so on and so forth. The list goes on. So it was like something that I was battling with as a kid. Like, it completely changed the path of my fucking life. I don't know what it's like to have a good childhood.
Yeah.
So when I finally told my family, when I think I was 10 or 11, I remember breaking down crying, and I stood in the corner of my house because I was so ashamed. And then my family was like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you? I said, here's what happened to me. And they're like, what? And my Meemaw, this is why I love her so much. She unfortunately passed earlier in the year, but she literally said, I'm going to kill this fucking guy. And my grandma was violent. My grandfather was an old sheriff. Like, he was an evil guy too. So he was like, we're going to find him and we're just going to fucking kill him. And I'm like, oh, and I
it's not gonna, yeah,
that's not going to go over well. But in the end, I admit I had said, hey, here's what happened to me. And then some of my family members didn't believe it because at the time my mom was doing drugs heavily.
Yeah.
They said, we think that your mom told you that to put it in your head to go against your dad. And I'm like, no, that happened.
Wow.
It happened to my sister too. And so when I was 16 years old, I confronted the guy who did this to me. And I won't tell that story because it will incriminate me, but I confronted the guy, and he was a worthless, fat piece of shit. And there was other little girls who he had raped that spoke up, where he finally got caught up, and he spent some time. But, dude, here's the deal. People can tell me all fucking day, like, Tank, you can say that your opinion, you don't want to have my back if I say that. No, here's the deal, man. I don't have proof that guy did it. All I have is my word. I can show you the exact places that he did it to. I can tell you straight up, dude, as fucked up as this sounds and as crazy as this is going to sound that people are going to watch this, I can tell you what that motherfucker's dick looked like. I remember. And dude, this is a real conversation right now, John. I remember. And it's taken, dude, I'm not over it.
Yeah.
I'm in my 30s and I'm not over it, John. I've been a violent human being, and I have back and forth fucking issues all the time in my life. Like, I'll be steady with one thing and I'll be rock solid for 2 or 3 years, and then all of a sudden I'll have a goddamn breakdown for 3 months. And I don't feel like anybody's there for me when there are people there for me. So it freaks me the fuck out. But I could explain that to a prosecutor.
Yeah.
I can explain that to a fucking defending attorney. Like, here's what it fucking looks like. Why? How do I know that? It's fucked my entire life up. So I struggle with that all the time. But what helps me not struggle with that anymore is talking about it.
Yeah.
Dude, there are millions of people who have been sexually assaulted in the world right now who don't have a voice.
Yeah.
And I've always thought, if I can put them on my shoulders and tell my story, and I'm some fucking strong alpha male who's been successful, but I also have issues, then, dude, if I talk about my issues and the reasons why, it's going to allow somebody else to open up and finally overcome their fucking demons and the failures that they think that they have because they're fucked up. No, you're not fucked up, ladies and gentlemen. What's happened is somebody took your fucking innocence from you, and then they ran with it thinking that everything, you're going to be okay. Just shut the fuck up. Dude, it's a sensitive subject, and I'm so glad that you brought that up because I think platforms like this allow people to be set free.
It's also rare to see a man come forward with this type of testimony.
It was the hardest goddamn thing to do, John, and I remember it like it was yesterday when I did it. It was 4 years ago. I was at Parris Island, South Carolina. I was the guest of honor on base for our graduation for all the recruits graduating. And that night, it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I had a huge Facebook. And, dude, I was sitting there, and I had all these emotions coming over me. And all of a sudden, I just broke down. And I was like, I need to tell somebody. I need to tell somebody about what has happened to me. So I don't know why I thought telling the whole fucking world would make sense.
I just want to pause you right there real quick because you're making a very good point. You said you want to tell somebody. You want to speak. And I think that's why when we talk about, like, toxic masculinity, a story like that, people be like, dude, you need to shut the fuck up and man the fuck up and just deal with your shit. Versus, I think real masculine would be like, hey, man, let's go get you some help. Let's go talk to somebody. Let's take this to a professional
100%.
Versus telling you to clam up, shut the fuck up, deal with your shit like a man, like suppress it, internalize that shit. And it's just gonna fucking like and I'm sure that's what you did. And then this is the result when you internalize that shit for so fucking long and you don't talk about it, you don't make these issues known. It's like a fucking IED with these pressure cookers. It's eventually going to blow.
Yeah.
And so there's absolutely nothing wrong with encouraging people like you're doing to come forward and talk about their shit, but also understanding that it's like there's nothing feminine, there's nothing non-masculine about discussing these types of issues, because I think really realistically more men do need to come forward and say, hey, this happened to me when I was a child or whatever, because this, and I hate saying it's normal, but it should be considered normal that men can deal with it just as much as women, or men also deal with these types of issues. So there is no getting a monopoly on the sexual assault or the rape. It does happen to men as well. And it's not trying to delegitimize or make light of what happened to women, but it's I think in this day and age, just being honest, it's a lot more difficult for a man to come forward because of how we are personified to be like the alpha male type. You got to be the aggressor, the hunter-gatherer. And then when you come out and say, hey, man, I've got some weakness in my life, and this is the reason why. I think that's very therapeutic. I mean,
dude, I agree with you 100%. And all of my weakness that has ever come from my life has been from the trauma that I experienced as a child. Not from going to war, watching my captain burning live in front of me, all these things that I've dealt with overseas. It's literally it stemmed from, the seed was planted when I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
And that created this fucking trickle effect for my entire life because everybody in life who becomes successful, persistence will get you there. Consistency will keep it. They were consistent in what they were doing.
I like how you said that.
6 fucking years. Like, you've been doing this for 6 years, John. You've never veered from who the fuck you are. Now you own a multi-million-dollar company with your partner, and you're successful. Well, that's because you've been consistent in your life. I have only been consistent in spurts. Like 2 years, I'm fully consistent. I'm committed. And then I have like 3 or 4 months where, dude, I fucking binge on alcohol. And then I lose my shit and I lose everything that I have fucking tried to build.
Yeah.
That's not me wanting to be like that. Yeah. That's the fucking trauma that is literally in my life making me feel like I'm not good enough, so what the fuck am I even doing here in the first place? And there are too many men out there and women who have been abused, who have voices that fail to speak up because they are scared that they are going to be victimized, or they're going to be treated like shit for coming out and speaking. Dude, here's the deal. It took me a long time to learn that I was a victim, and it was through months and years of counseling. And in that counseling, I don't even feel like that I even I don't even feel like it even did anything to me. And, you know, if
you mean as far as like the counseling, it did anything for you?
Counseling didn't even do anything for me. Excuse me.
Okay.
The counseling didn't do shit for me. I'll tell you the moment that my fucking life changed. I said earlier that I'm not going to talk about it, but I don't give a fuck, dude. I'll talk about it. When I was 16 years old, statistically, with what has happened to me in my life, being raped for 3 years, I was locked in a closet for almost a fucking year, dude. My mom could not find me. She was a drug addict and would just pass me off to motherfuckers. So when I was 16 years old, I remember going to this kid down the street that lived down the road from me. He was a gangbanger. I said, dude, I need a gun. He's like, I got you, homie. What you need? I got a revolver from him. The grip was taped, and the serial number was shaved off. My mom had flown to New Hampshire to go fucking sleep with some dude who was married. He was flying her around because she was a banger at the time, you would call her, whatever. So I remember that weekend we had like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. And I didn't even have a driver's license at the time.
You said you were 16 at the time?
I was 16 at the time.
Okay.
I knew where this motherfucker lived. He lived in Jackson, Mississippi. And
This was the gentleman that was flying your mom out.
No. So the guy. So let me backtrack.
Okay.
My mom went out of town to go fuck some dude that
Right.
she was having an affair with. Okay. My sister and I were home alone. I that weekend had like this mental breakdown. I was like, I want to go kill this guy. I had
This is
made
the gentleman that had been raping
This
you.
is the guy who had raped me when
Okay.
I was a kid, like
Okay.
bad. So I guess he was out of jail, whatever. I knew where he lived. So I told myself, I'm gonna murder this motherfucker. Like I need revenge. I don't feel whole. I need revenge. So I got this gun from this guy. I jumped in my mom's Honda Civic and I drove to Jackson, Mississippi, into a little town in Jackson, and I parked down the street outside of these woods, and he lived in a trailer house. Dude, I walked through those fucking woods, and I waited for this bitch to come out of his house. This is the realest story you're ever going to hear. I walked through the fucking woods, and I watched for this bitch to come out of his house. And I remember seeing his, like, white, I think it was like a white Lincoln town car or something like that. Well, it's been almost a day, dude. I've been staying in these woods, and I had made up my mind. I'm going to shoot this fucking guy. So I saw this fat bitch and his wife come out of the trailer. They get in their car. As they were backing out, they backed out to go down the road this way, like going south or whatever it was. I just bolted through the woods, John. I'm fucking running, I'm running. And I'm like, you're going to do this, dude. You're going to fucking do this. You're doing it. And I get to the car. I'm out of breath. I just throw the seatbelt on real quick. I throw it in drive, and I'm like, shoot this motherfucker in the head. I was saying it. I was saying it. Shoot this motherfucker in the head. And I'm following him. I get up behind him. There's a truck in front of me with like a flatbed, and I remember there being like a Catahoula type dog on the back of the flatbed in the country. He pulls into this gas station. Dude, I had so much rage and heat in me. I was like, fuck it. Let's go. He gets out. I pull up behind him to block his car. The goal was, when he walks out, I just walk up, pull the gun out, shoot him in the fucking head. That was the goal. As he goes up to the cash register, it was the moment of truth. I was shaking, and dude, it was the weirdest thing overcame me. All of a sudden, it was like everything just went blank in my head. I couldn't even hardly see. It was the weirdest fucking thing. And I remember reaching down for the gun to get out, and all of a sudden I had this vision. And I've been going through counseling once a week for a couple hours with this guy named Steph. And he's been walking through me through this stuff called get rid of your running parachutes, things that have always held you back. And I go through counseling every week still. And I told him about this vision the other day that I'd had in the car. And
this is the vision you had before you got out of the car to go in there and shoot your
guy in the
rapist.
head.
Okay.
Yep. I remember sitting on the porch and watching somebody without a face who was blonde bring me some food and my coffee. And I remember hearing laughter out in the grass. And I remember seeing like this little stand out in the backyard and a swing. And I remember the kids playing. And I remember hearing, Dad, would you like some more coffee? And I remember reaching over and just grabbing the hand of somebody who I don't know who it was in my vision. And then I just remember telling myself, it's easier to forgive than to do what you're about to do. It was like God or somebody like literally sitting over my shoulder, putting this vision in my head. And here's what happened. I remember throwing the gun down, and I closed my eyes and I took a deep breath. And I didn't cry or anything yet. The breath was everything to me. I got out. He walks out of the doors. And as he walked out of the door to go to his car, he looks at me, and I literally walked right up to him, to his face, and I just said, you know who I am, don't you? And Johnny didn't say anything. He started trembling. He was fat as fuck, just started trembling. I said, you know who I am, don't you? And he said, yes. And he like kind of looked down, and I said, I just want you to know I came here today to shoot you in the fucking head, but instead I choose to forgive you. And I walked away. I got in the car, and I was shaking. And I went and I got some water. And I remember the guy who gave me the gun said, hey, throw the gun in the fucking water over a bridge somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I remember finding a bridge, and I took that gun and I threw it. And it was like liberation for me. And I drove all the way home. What a lot of people when I went to high school with that picked on me, or I was always fist fighting people or whatever, they were like, oh, Tanksley's all fucked up in the head. Like, all he wants to do is this. They didn't realize what I was going through.
Yeah.
They didn't realize my struggle.
Yeah.
And that day, I took the power back into my life instead of being one of the statistics saying, like, statistically, a psychologist told me one time, I've studied psychology now for almost 4 years. A psychologist told me one time, and this is what got me thinking I want to study psychology. He said, statistically, you should be a serial killer right now.
Yeah. Or dead.
Or in
Drug
prison,
user, yeah.
or you've killed somebody, or you're on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I've never met somebody that has been so willing to be so vulnerable to just change somebody else's life.
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have had that vision when I was 16 years old, confronting the guy who fucking raped me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't tell that story a lot. I've told it a couple times. I'm sure that this is going to get out there. But the courage for me being a 16-year-old kid and standing up to the guy who did that to me, my message to people when it comes to abuse is that you have all the power. Mm-hmm. Nobody else does. The choice is yours.
Yeah.
So what Steph has been teaching me is to use my platform or my voice to say, that was a good thing that happened to me. As crazy as that fucking sounds, that was a good thing that happened to me because I feel like I've saved lives by telling my story of what's happened to me, because there are men out there who think, I got to be masculine. I got to be the alpha male. And I'm masculine. I'm an alpha male. I'll fuck you up. But in the end, it led me to doing so many beautiful things. Even though I have struggle, the beauty that has come out of it, like I became a cop because I needed to give back, and I wanted to take care of the kids in the neighborhoods. You know, they don't deserve some of the things that are happening to them these days. And I became a Marine because I wanted to know what it was like to be a part of a family that would always look out for me. And
I'm going to have Sarah bring us some water. That's what I was texting.
Okay, and to have the pride of wearing a uniform.
Yeah.
The list goes on.
And to go off of what you said, I was going to say, to caveat off what the commander said, there are so many people that people don't understand. Like, they think that the military is comprised of America's finest. It's not true.
No, it's comprised of America's most fucked up, in my opinion.
I didn't want to say it, but yeah.
100%,
It's
dude.
people that didn't really have a lot going on in their life. They're
Thanks,
thank you very much. They're people that have they come from lower economic status. They have a very difficult time. You're getting a lot of wonderful support in the chat, by the way. Thank you for all the positive comments out there on Twitch and YouTube.
Wow, I didn't even know that you've seen the comments.
Yeah, you can see them right here.
Wow.
But there's just a lot of people that don't understand that people join the military already with a lot of severe issues. And then they go and experience this 20-year war, and those issues are compounded with PTSD from combat, from watching your brothers and sisters die, various things. So for a lot of military members, it's not so simplistic as unpacking just an experience in Iraq or Afghanistan. It actually goes back further. I had a friend of mine, he was one of my soldiers. I've talked about him. I won't name him by name. I don't want to put his business out there. But there was a point in Afghanistan that we were going through just a really bad time, a really hard, difficult time. And he was one of the best gunner. He was the best gunner I had. Like, other people wanted this kid. He was a fucking sniper on that Crow system. And for the Crow system, it was an electrical turret on the top of our vehicle that has black and white hot thermal imaging that you can see the enemy. And you can see him up to like 2 or 3 clicks out. And this dude would just smoke the Taliban.
That's awesome.
He's just a bad motherfucker. And he was a gym rat like me. He was a big dude and a good, dependable fucking gunner. But when you get around your Joes for so long, like, you can tell when something's off. Like, you can tell when just something's not. It's like, you're not acting yourself. You're not being funny.
Yeah.
You're not cracking the dark humor jokes like we do. And come to find out, we had a psychologist that was traveling through the valley, which was unheard of. Like, nobody came to see us in our Cop Michigan we were at. Is at the mouth of the Korengal. Nobody came. People did not go there. And this guy came through, and he was staying for like 2 or 3 days. And I went to him and was like, hey, sir, I need you to talk to one of my Joes. I was like, he's not doing good. I don't think it's the combat because he's never had a problem. I think there's something else. Long story short, He sits down with him and come to find out that he'd been raped when he was younger.
Wow.
He's a father and dealing with his own shit. And these issues were just resurfacing. And this is the complexity of the human psychology. You have no control over when this shit is going to come back to haunt you or when it's going to come back into your brain, when these thoughts start. It's like, and I've talked to my girl about this, it's like an emotional splinter. It will make its way to the surface whether you want it to or not, whether it be today, tomorrow, a year from now. You just don't know. But when it does make its way to the surface, the stupidest fucking thing you can do is ignore it and try and push it back down, because that's not going to fix it. When we do the CBD and stuff, like I tell people, it's like, this is not going to fix your issues. This helps lessen the symptoms. But if you have psychological issues, you need to go talk to a therapist. You need to go talk to a psychologist or whatever you fall in line with. But to sit there and try and suppress it for the sake of seeming machismo or I'm alpha, that's the dumbest fucking thing you can do, because ultimately, like you said, you're gonna fucking need a bullet, especially in the veteran world. Like, we have 20 to 22 killing themselves. And it's like, we have to sit there and change the narrative instead of saying like, hey, we need to go road march for the fallen or suicide awareness. It's like, we need to be taking other issues we need to be taking alternative approaches to saying, hey, there's a lot of great nonprofits out there that get veterans active, that get them off. I think we're like an 81% obesity rate in the veteran community. You tack that onto PTSD and issues like you're talking about. No wonder we're fucking ticking time bombs. It's like, but we need to be more proactive in a sense of like, there's nonprofits that I know of, like the Chad O Memorial Foundation, that actually pays for the veterans to go and receive EMDR treatment, which has been showcased to work phenomenally well.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah, you don't need the opioids. It's literally hypnotherapy.
Jared Taylor talked about that.
Yo, Jared, he came by like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he was talking about something he's doing down in Mexico with Marcus Luttrell and the rest. Yeah,
he's like,
Burke, you got it. Yeah, he's like, you got to go check this out.
I'm like, bro, I want to be in control of my brain. Like,
the shit he told me, like, if he told you the same thing, is like, bro, like, this is some seriously, it's something to do with a root out of, I forget what it was, but yeah, but I think that veterans are a lot of, rape victims, and we don't have the monopoly on PTSD. You have cops, you have rape victims, you have multiple different things, and it's like, I think the one thing that has exacerbated this is opioids. I think, we
for sure,
in the veteran world, like with the start of 9/11 and then the invasion of Afghanistan in 2001, then Iraq in 2003, American psychologists, American mental health was not ready for what was about to come, in a sense of all these hundreds of thousands of veterans coming back fucked up in the head from a 20-year fucking war. And this is just to just give some insight to people that don't know what the military is like. When you go and say, like, for example, you're in the infantry and you say, hey, I'm having some psychological issues. I'm not right in the head. I got a fucked up family life, or I'm not feeling things or anything like that. And you tell your chain of command, they 9 times out of 10 will tell you, shut the fuck up. Deal with your shit. Or if you said, I need to go to behavioral health, you'd be stigmatized. They'd be like, oh, you're a weak bitch. You're a pussy. And it's like,
100%.
this isn't going to fix this. And then commands would not give you the needed time to go get help. And it's partially not their fault, because people would actually milk the system. People would want to go to behavioral health to get out of a deployment or to get out of this, that, and the other. And then actual people that need the help were kind of put to the sidelines. And it just blew my mind how much chain of commands would not support their soldiers that had numerous deployments, NCOs that had been in Iraq multiple times saying, I need help, I'm fucked up. And they would just kind of get tossed to the side.
Go
and
PT.
Then go do PT, or even worse, they go to this, they go get help, and they'd have opioids thrown down their fucking throat.
Yep.
And it would turn them into walking zombies. And it's like these opioids, just like CBD, and I'm not making a comparison there, but it's like they don't fix the issue. They treat the symptoms, but the opioids are addictive, insanely addictive. And they turn like my same kid, they put him on opioids, and he was a gym rat. And then I see him 6 months later, he looked like he just came out of fucking Auschwitz. His eyes are sunken, he's skin and bone, and I'm like, what the fuck happened to you? And he's sitting there, and you could just see and he's good now. For those that don't know, he's good now.
Yeah.
He's doing insanely well, and I'm happy for that. But at the time, bro, the light in his eye was out. You could tell he was just kind of like, I'm doing good, Sar. Like, you can tell it's like, bro, you're there, but you're not there. And that was one of the hardest things to see. And that's why it's like, for me, it's like, my shit is go to the gym, go get it out, go do a fucking rant in the car, whatever you got to do. Like, it's therapeutic, whether people believe it or not. But it's like, that's the position veterans are in now, especially active duty. It's like, I want to go get help, but I'm afraid that my commander is going to fire me because I can't be a squad leader anymore for like maybe a week or two, because I have to go get help or whatever. If I get checked into an actual facility to go receive further treatment, I'm out of a job. And that guy is like, I got to support my family. I got to be a squad leader.
You know, the funniest thing about what you just said is those are the strongest people to me.
100%.
Bro, if you can admit that you got a problem and you need to go away for 2 weeks, you're coming back with a job no matter what. You're probably going to be ahead of more people.
Yeah.
And they just take back when I first came in, that's how it was, man. It was like, yo, you need to suck it the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
got problems?
Well, you know, and to be fair, there are certain situations that does apply. Like, hey, you know, we're going to go out to the field. It's going to be raining. Suck it the fuck up.
Oh,
That's just part of
absolutely,
it. But when
yeah.
it comes to actual issues that you're
Absolutely.
discussing right here, it's like, yeah, you ain't got to suck it up. Like, talk about that shit.
Absolutely.
And that's where I think people can't differentiate between the two. It's like, oh, man, I got to go on this 12-mile race. Suck it the fuck up. You signed up for this. You knew this. Like, shut the fuck up and do the job. Versus, like, hey.
I used to think that in my head, but
Yeah.
I just wouldn't say it out loud. I'm like, oh my God, we got to hike 15 miles and I got a 60-pound pack. Dude, I'm a fucking tiny guy, man. Like, and back then when I was in it, you know, I'm 5'9", but I only weighed like $150.
For y'all, it's like you're taking 3 steps from my 1.
Yeah, it
like
sucked,
y'all are some
dude.
tiny
It sucked so
motherfuckers there.
bad. But I look back now, I'm like, I was in the best fucking shape of my
yeah.
life, man.
Yeah.
And now I go to the gym yesterday. I'm on the treadmill and I run for 3 miles. And dude, I woke up this morning and it felt like death.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, I'm getting old. I'm broken down now. Like, it is what it is.
I don't do the gym, or I don't do the running hardly anymore. I'll do incline walk on the treadmill because one thing I've learned is, like, I'm 37. I'm still in great shape, but the other part of it is I know that you look at these other people later on in the years, like Sylvester Stallone was doing this thing. He talks about, like, you know, I don't even work out with free weights no more. I do bands because I'm all fucked up. It's like, yeah, like you're gonna live those. Like, look at Ronnie Coleman.
Oh,
like,
God.
beast of a motherfucker, but look at him now.
Yeah, he's broke,
It's like,
man.
you beat the fuck out of your body.
Yeah,
It's
he's
like,
broke.
we need to be playing the long game, not the short game. Like, you want the abs, you want the shit, hey, do your thing. But I'm telling you, years from now, and like to you active duty motherfuckers and you cops out there doing this, take care of your body. Take care, because you're gung-ho door kicker right now.
Stretch out.
Drink some
Stretch
fucking water,
the fuck
bro.
out, dude.
Drink
Those
some fucking
ibuprofen
water.
and water, you know? It's the best thing
That's
for
where
you.
it's at. This episode is brought to you by ShellShockCBD.com. You can check us out. We're going to be running a special starting today on the broad spectrum 3,500 milligram. We're going to be knocking it down 30%. You can actually make it 40% when you use code Burke. Sarah, I'm not sure if you're watching, or Josh, but I know we were talking about doing that today. The broad spectrum grape flavor is going on sale. It's a newest release product. You want to support the show? Do us a favor, share the stream, tell your friends, and then go check out ShellShockCBD.com, and then you can actually check out Tank's Gummies. You've got the Blueberry Delta 8.
Yeah.
And where can they follow you on Instagram?
Tank Machine XX. Since my Instagram just got deleted a couple days ago, that's my new one. But yeah, Tank Machine XX. It's like
So,
the 2 X's is like dead, you know? Dude, real quick about the
Yeah, go for it.
about the CBD and the gummies, man. Like, you know, I've been offered pills from the VA before, and I'm not a pill guy. I don't do
Yeah,
that shit.
me neither.
Contrary to popular belief back in the day when I was doing crazy videos, I don't fucking do drugs like that. But when the first time I took the Delta 8s, dude, remember I wrote you and I was like, yo, what the fuck? I took way too many. I was like, yo, dude, I thought I died because
Yeah.
I slept for like 20 hours.
Yep.
And I was like, dude,
It'll
I've never
fuck you
slept
up.
like this. Yeah. So I cut the gummies in half now every night, and I sleep like a baby, dude.
yeah, the stuff is amazing. We have Tank's got the Delta 8 gummies as well. You can check it out. And this is the thing that really pisses me off about Big Pharma. Delta 8 is now banned in like 12 or 13 states where weed is legal.
100%.
Because
Colorado, are you fucking kidding me?
This is the government. Like, if you get, and this is the thing that really pisses me off about veterans that want to serve out of a sense of patriotism. We have a market now, because I used to not believe in CBD. I was like, it's fucking snake oil. And then I tried it. I was like,
Yeah.
I was wrong. I had made a post on Instagram. I had to talk about this. Like, I was actually wrong. Like, I did not know what I was talking about. I tried. I was like, this shit actually works. And then when you actually have like Delta 8 that hits the market, and these things actually go the opposite direction of what opioids can do and still have the same beneficial effects without the addictive side effects, the negative side effects, and then they ban it. Because the government is in league with these fucking big pharma companies, and now the weed company is going to turn to big pharma because now weed wants to control the monopoly, the market, saying we're the only place you can get this from. Versus the little guy, like to even get a license to sell in Texas, to sell weed, not just grow, but to sell, is over $1 million. And they're not even taking licenses anymore. You can't even apply anymore. It's done. I think they shut it down in like 2019. So the little guy has no chance to start his own business and compete with big markets. Now they've tipped the scales of capitalism into where it's corporatism. And the only motherfuckers that can afford these licenses are oil tycoons. So the rich get richer, and meanwhile the veterans in the center that just want to find something to actually work, they're fucked. It's like, I just want Delta 8. I don't want the opioids. I don't want the shit from the V. I just want this. It's natural. It's organic. It's not addictive. And it fucking works.
It does. And you know what's crazy is like we were just talking about this morning when I came in. I've posted, Delta 8 or the CBD-free gummies.
Yeah.
Bro, I had 7 posts deleted this morning.
Yeah.
7.
Yep.
And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm not doing anything. It says I'm selling drugs. I'm like, are you fucking joking? So it's like it's nonstop. It's always going to be a battle, no matter what. And little guys like me, like, dude, I have a retirement, but that income that comes in, it also helps feed my family. It allows me to travel. Like we were talking about earlier, you're saying the gym is kind of an escape for you from what I gathered. That used to be my escape, but what's my escape now is like jumping in my truck with my lady and just traveling and finding a coffee shop 600 miles away.
It's interesting how things change as you get older, because what was once a release, something changed. There's nothing wrong with having this evolution of the mind, this evolution of the soul and the body to say, what once worked for me doesn't, but now I need to seek out the next thing, the next step, the next objective.
Me finding some little spot where there's nobody, where I can just find peace. That's what I do. And so when I sell these gummies, obviously I make a little bit of money off of them. However, that money is what allows me to have peace of mind.
Yeah.
So I think when people buy my gummies, dude, I take a lot of time to write them and say,
you come in here and I think last time you signed
I signed like almost 2,000 bags, I think. Dude,
you signed like all the
Yeah, just signing bags or whatever, or when people write me, dude, this gummy's amazing. Sometimes I'll FaceTime people and tell them how much I appreciate it, because in the end, like, I'm not a multimillionaire. I was well on track to be a multimillionaire 3 years ago. I lost all that shit when I gave up social media and tried to figure myself out. I went through a shitty divorce. I fucking lost my house, my cars, everything. Remember the Hellcat that I got? All that stuff. Everything was gone. So if I make a little bit of money now off of that, it's like I use that to find my peace. I don't stay home because I can't. If I stay home, I get the 6 inches in between my own head. I start feeling like I'm not good enough, and then I start freaking the fuck out. And that's, like we were talking about earlier, I can go 2 month or a 2-year span of, dude, everything's amazing. And then all of a sudden I'll have like a breakdown for 2 months. And I feel like I need to lock myself in the house and live in the dark. And it's the weirdest thing. But when I find a beach somewhere or somewhere I can just go visit and hang out where there's nobody else or anything going on, that's kind of my release. So you bringing me into the gummy family has been a blessing for me. So I can, when I quit being a cop, it hurt me because I loved being in the neighborhoods and doing things for people. That's what it's really about. When I got back on social media, I tried to use my social media to help homeless people and friends who ended up fucking me over, or whatever the case may be.
That happens a lot in the veteran community, especially in the business realm.
Dude, all the time.
Like when somebody says
you
they're
and
a veteran, it's
straight
like,
up, John, if you think about it, you and I are the black sheep of the veteran community.
Oh, absolutely.
You and I are the outcast of the veteran community because
I take pride in that. That
dude,
makes my dick hard for some reason.
A lot of folks, I mean, bro, there are so many good veterans out there that I absolutely love and fucking adore. And I'm like, dude, this guy has got it made. Like Evan Hafer, the owner of Black Rifle Coffee, he gave me a fucking job when nobody else would. And he's never, he doesn't talk shit about me. He's like, Tank's just got his issues. Who gives a fuck, right?
Yeah.
I went to Salt Lake City like 6 or 7 months ago and spent time with him up at the old shop that was built from the beginning. I was there, and when it was all being done, and he gave me a job. And Jared Taylor was like, "I got you, no matter what, dude. I got you."
JT is, I think, one of the most overlooked content creators. It's probably one of the most, if not the most talented motherfucker I've ever seen.
He is very talented, dude.
Like, Best gets a lot of attention. JT, honestly, I think is just one of these guys that's like, there needs to be more Jared Taylors.
100%.
Like, I got no beef with Evan or Best or any of those. Like, I've never, I'll be honest with you, I've never wanted to fall into the Black Rifle umbrella. I've never wanted to, because I feel like there's a lot of people in the veteran community that actually, they strap hang onto these other major influencers to get clout from them.
Oh, 100%.
And there's a lot of motherfuckers that do that, and I didn't want to do that. I did not want to go that route. They want you to go, like, be a part of the Drinking Bros, and I'm not knocking what they have created. That's not me doing that. It's me saying I did not want to get my start with that.
For sure,
I wanted to do it myself.
Yeah.
And there are so many motherfuckers that will do that. They will chase the flame, they'll chase the clout, and they'll do everything they can to get in with that crew. But I think JT has probably been one of the most down-to-earth, real motherfuckers that regardless will always have his hand out saying, he came into the shop, he did a tour, he was giving me some information. He was looking around, he's like, you're doing it right. I was like, and when I don't really take advice from a lot of people out there, but when JT opens his mouth to say some shit, I'm gonna listen because JT knows he's done it. He's like, it's like I'm not gonna take advice from a fucking loser. I'm gonna take it from a winner that's actually done it and is successful. And people don't know this, but like JT is like, oh, we get a lot of grief. They talk a lot of shit about us.
Oh, they do.
But he's like, but I just bought a fucking fighter jet. Like, so I'm going to go fly my plane and you guys can go talk shit on the internet. Like, I love that.
Yeah,
I love that he actually has that like my kind of statement. It's like, you fucking veterans out there can talk all the shit you want about how we achieve this or how we accomplish this. Meanwhile, you're still fucking miserable. You're looking over your shoulder. You're living in the past. And other veterans are actually grinding and speaking their minds and being willing to take the hits and go out there and pursue fucking what makes them happy.
Yeah.
And these other veterans are just sitting there chattering like a bunch of little fucking squirrels on the sideline, just chatter, like, oh my God, they did this.
Because they're not successful.
Because they're not successful. And it comes from
trash,
like just,
man.
yeah, it comes from being jealous or it comes from whatever. So people always want to come at me with this idea of like, well, you're just very egotistical. It's like, I'll play that role for you to piss you the fuck off. But I know who I am and I know what I've done. And so these other veterans that come at you sideways, it's just like when nobody, I'll put it this way, to paint it to a perfect picture, nobody hates successful veterans more than veterans. They hate it because it highlights their own insecurities. It highlights their own laziness.
It's the most cutthroat community I've ever seen in my
it is.
entire fucking life.
100%.
Man. And it's really sad. You know, I'll always be a supporter of Black Rifle. I buy their coffee today. I was a part of the company for 4 years, and I buy the coffee all the time. Dude, I'm wearing a Black Rifle hat. My mug is a Black Rifle coffee mug that I've had for 5 years now. And, you know, Jared, there was only a handful of people when I disappeared who reached out to me and stayed in touch with me. Jared was one of them. You know, there's obviously others with other companies and friends, like the owner of Rockwell Watches, Rich, and Johnny and them, and then Austin, the owner of Warrior Flask. And, dude, they all reached out over time. And you know, there's other people. And, however, the point is that we need more Jareds in this world.
Oh, I agree.
Dude. We do. We need more Jareds.
Yeah.
Jared is off of his fucking rocker, but he's the sweetest human being, dude.
Jared is talented.
He's the sweetest human being.
He
man.
is. He's a good dude. I didn't really know him that well. I remember it was crazy how life is because I was a drill sergeant when Matt Best really blew up on social media. And I remember messaging him on Facebook, and he actually responded, and we started talking a little bit. And he probably doesn't remember that. But I remember seeing that his start on social media, and then I did a rant, and then I started blowing the fuck up on social media. But I never forgot that he actually took the time to respond. And then JT, when I actually met him, JT was just handout, super friendly, non-judgmental. I was like, fuck, like, because I didn't trust him at first. I'm like, this dude's got something in his back pocket. Like, I don't trust this guy. JT has been one of the very few motherfuckers that has never wronged me. Never wronged me. And when somebody in the veteran community fucking backstabs me, you're fucking done. Like, there have been, and we have mutual acquaintances that we both do not like that have very large followings.
Bro.
There's some of them are combat wounded.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
And those motherfuckers are some of the most cutthroat, judgmental, backstabbing, shit-talking motherfuckers. And they think because they've been wounded or whatever that shit doesn't come back around. I got news for you, and this is going to piss some people off. Just because you're wounded in combat does not make you a good person.
No,
it doesn't.
Not at all.
You can still be a piece of shit and fucking be a Purple Heart recipient. You can. Or a Medal of Honor recipient. Ooh, that's gonna trigger some people. It's the fucking truth. Like, it's just the way I see things. Because I've witnessed it firsthand. This isn't me just speculating, say I think. It's like, no, these motherfuckers have talked shit about me behind my back, cost me money. Like when I was in dealings in the gun industry, talking to one company, one motherfucker that I thought I was friends with backstabbed me. It's like, oh, be careful, man. He's a loose cannon. I'm just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, you sleep in my house? Like, I've slept in your house, and you're gonna say that shit? Like, what the fuck? It is a very cutthroat community. So I'm like I said, you keep the circle small. Don't ever put yourself in the position where you rely upon somebody else, because when you do, you're gonna find out more times than not they'll stab you in the fucking back.
Dude, you know, it's I've heard so many rumors about myself over the years, and I'll tell you what, like 90% of them are not true, but there's 10% that are real fucking true, and I have owned up to them.
Yeah.
Like, I've done some shit where I'm like, why did I do that? What the fuck was I thinking, man?
People forget that you're a human being too.
Dude,
it's like because you have a social media following, you're expected to be like the premier example of what a veteran is supposed to look like. Fuck that, dude. Like, fuck that. 100%. We're human beings.
I've talked shit about people before. I've stabbed people in the back. I've burned bridges. I've done those things. And I look back now and I'm like, wow, those are lessons learned. I'll never do that again. And dude, like, I have been righting some of my wrongs still to this day. Like the other day, there's a guy that I had a big tiff with for a while and lost contact with him. I heard he's going through some stuff, and we had a hard falling out. And I don't know what was happening. I went on like a 10-mile walk.
Yeah.
And I just reached out to him and I was like, hey man, you know, I just want to tell you that I'm sorry for if I had ever said anything that hurt you. And I said, I want you to keep doing what you're doing. And in the end, he wrote me and he's like, wow, I really needed to hear that today. Thank you, dude. Let's catch up sometime and let's hug it out. And I was like, that's just how it should be as men these days. Yeah. It's like, bro, if you were doing something dumb, just own up to it and just be good to that person.
I'd have way more respect for some of these people if they came out and said, I'm sorry I did that to you. I truthfully regret it. We shake hands, throw dirt on it, we're good. We move on.
Yeah, man.
But until that actually happens, you're not you won't eat at my table.
I agree with you.
Absolutely
100%.
not. Until and people that I've wronged, and it's never been intentional, but anyone that I've wronged, I've like tried to do my best to go out there and say, I'm sorry I did that to you. It wasn't right, and let me make it better. Let me make good on it. But for the other people that don't, and they just continue going down that path, fucking let them go.
Yeah,
like let them go. Just because you're a veteran doesn't make you a good person. It doesn't.
If there's one thing that I could give anybody advice on is like, because I've struggled with this a lot, is who gives a fuck about what other people think? You know, like
easier said than done. You know, we as influencers say shit like that, but for the longest time, I was letting that shit actually get to me. I was actually letting that shit get to me, and that's when I turned off. I told you, turn off your messages, stop reading comments, and be yourself.
Yeah.
Because I feel like
you told me that literally like 3 or 4 weeks ago.
There's some good that can come from reading some of your comments when people challenge your way of thinking and what you're thinking and what you're standing for, to where it makes you question your beliefs, which is a good thing. And then it makes you kind of dig deep. Okay, why do I think the way I do? Why do I see this the way I do? And then when you start doing that, you can either double down on your beliefs because you can understand you dissected the reasoning behind it, or you change your mind, which I've done numerous times. Like, it's okay to be on social media and say, hey guys, got this one wrong? I'm changing my mind.
Yeah.
I changed my mind about Trump many times. And then people don't like seeing you break that mold and grow. And I'll get so many messages like, you've changed. Like, and you haven't? Like, what's wrong here? What's wrong with this picture? You should be evolving. And people don't realize that. We don't preach that enough, because in this age of body love and you're perfect just the way you are is complete bullshit. If you are 20 years old and you are thinking the exact same way at 30 years old, you failed. There should be a period of evolution to where you're changing. The things that we thought were right when we were in our early teens to mid-20s to early 30s, we change and we evolve and realize that maybe our thought process was given to us by our environment. My parents had a major influence. People in the military had a major influence on me. And then you get to a point where you said before, and I like how you put this, that every 2 or 3, for 2 or 3 months, you'll go through a period where you're just fucking crashing. But then you take a step back even further and you start understanding, like, okay, this is going to happen, and these are the red flags that start kicking off, and I know this is coming. So now if I know this is what happens when I'm about to crash, what am I doing to either, number one, prevent that, or number two, how do I deal with it effectively? And there's, like you said, and this is just so crazy to me, but every so often I'll go through a period to where I feel nothing. Like, there's just no feeling, in a sense of like emotions. Like, for nobody. 2 or 3 days, I isolate and I feel nothing, and it scares me. But I've come to the point now where I understand, it's like, this isn't permanent. Your mind's going through something. There's an evolution happening. There's that emotional splinter making its way to the surface. So I had to tell my girl, I was like, look, when this happens, it's not about you. Like, this has nothing to do with you. It's me. It's all me. And it's not a reflection of my feelings for you or the lack thereof. It's simply saying psychologically, this is happening in my brain, and I want you to be aware, so where if I just isolate, this is the reason why. But I also have to take accountability and explain that to the people. I can't just assume they're going to know that, because, and this is where I went wrong, and this, like, you want to talk about deep conversation, this is the truth. Maybe about 6 or 7 months ago, I was going through the very same thing, and we were supposed to go out and have a good night of dancing, and I remember I was in my house crying, and I couldn't figure out why. And I wanted her to come comfort me, but I wouldn't say it. I tried using every manipulative tactic to try and get her to come to me to give me that nurturing feeling that I needed. But I wouldn't say it because it made me feel weak. It made me feel like she had the power. The dichotomy was tipped, and now I'm powerless. All of it came from ego. Ego was the biggest fucking enemy. And we broke up later, and now we're back together. And we actually go to couples therapy, and it's been very helpful. Just the one session we've done so far, we went in there not with the idea of fighting each other, but fighting for each other, to identify our toxic traits and figure out how to overcome these traits. And for me, it was communication. Because for 13 years in the Army infantry, it's like, you do what I fucking say, and you're going to do it right the fuck now, and you're not going to question me. That train of thought does not translate into the civilian world, and it sure as fuck does not translate into a relationship.
For sure.
With a woman, no. Absolutely not. Or with another man, whatever you're into. Doesn't work. People are not mind readers, and you've got to openly, verbally communicate what it is that you need from that person. But also, it doesn't stop there. It's communicating effectively and without ego, being in your words, and that's insanely hard. And so for us, it was me having to take a step back and realizing that I always wanted to be right because I love debate, and basically putting the ego in the back pocket and just being more honest and communicating that honesty with her. And since we've started doing that, it's been even better. It's been an even better relationship. And stuff like that has to occur. So like I said back before, when you're 20 and then you're 30, your thought process is going to change. Everything is going to change. You think you know it all at such a... I'm 37. I still don't know shit about fuck. I'm excited to see where I'm going to be when I'm in my 40s and 50s.
I was just thinking that. Like, I can't wait to see what I'm doing when I'm 45. You know, like the goal for us right now is to have a Sprinter van and just live in it on the beach somewhere.
That's what makes you happy.
That's the plan. That's what we want to do. Is that going to happen? I mean, who the fuck knows? But in the end, it's like, dude, if I'm not chasing that dream or at least attempting to try something different, then I don't know what I want to do. Yeah. I'm not built to own like a Black Rifle Coffee or something.
Well, see, here's the thing, though. You don't know. And I'm not saying right now you probably,
that's what I'm saying.
But
right
who
now,
knows where Tank's going to be 5-10 years down the road.
Right now, I'm not. I have to work on myself
Yeah.
because I still, like, you just talked about that funk, your 2 to 3 day funk. Dude, I'm in the middle of my 2 or 3 month issue right now. Yeah. I'm smack dab in the fucking middle of it. Like, I have not been good the last month and a half. Doesn't mean I want to off myself. It just means I don't know what the fuck is going on and I can't figure it out. And so, dude,
that's just one of those things of just hold on to something, ride it out because it's not going to last. That's why I talk about have faith in the sunrise.
I know what the trigger was. Like, it was my friend, my buddy that I served with, who I gave fucking $11,000 cash to, fucking me over royally, talking shit about me after I did that.
Yeah.
And then he said, you exploited me in the veteran community, used me for money. I'm like,
oh, bro, you get that
I'm
all
like, are you
fucking
fucking
time,
serious, bitch? I just gave you $11,000 cash, and you're talking shit about me. The next night, he bashed me. And it sent me, it was like a bomb exploded in my fucking head.
And that's why that's why people isolate. They become emotionally callous because of shit like that.
And I haven't been able to pull myself out of this rut. But in the end, it's because when I put trust in people, I put trust in you. And that means don't break my fucking trust, because once you break it, we're done. Like, that's it. And so once I get out of this little rut, I'll be right back to, Superman in my head.
Yeah.
It just takes a little bit of time. So that's why I say, like, I'm not cut out to own like a $300 million company or a $10 million company right now, because I'm still working through some things that sometimes I don't know how to control.
Yeah.
And until I learn, and this is really for anybody that listens or watches, like, dude, you could be 35 or 45 years old right now, maybe even 50, and you're not where you need to be in your life. And that's okay. You still got fucking 30 years to go.
Yeah.
You might not find out who you are or what you're about until you're fucking 55 or 60.
Bro, that's the damn truth.
And sometimes we look at ourselves, we beat ourselves up because we're thinking, it's got to happen now. It don't got to fucking happen right now, dude. Life is built on struggle and fucking finding yourself after that struggle. And in the end, I'm slowly but surely starting to realize that about myself too. It's like, dude, who gives a shit if you got fucking... Who cares if you've got fucking issues right now? Because you might not have those issues when you're 45. All these things may be washed eventually, and then when you get your head straight and everything is aligned from your lessons learned, then you don't know what the hell is going to happen in the future. Like, at that point, you could come up with something that changes people's lives forever. I think ultimately, like, what my calling will be, I don't want to be a fucking preacher, John. I don't want to be a preacher. However, I do feel like I should be on a stage somewhere, like a TED Talk, talking about why I'm here. Statistically, I should be a suicide. I should have committed suicide or been a serial killer.
I want to go back. I want to go back to what you just said, because I think this is a topic that is rarely discussed. We talk about how we don't feel like we should be where we think we should be. Like, we don't, like, at 37 or whatever the case may be, like, for those that are listening, wherever you're at, like, maybe you feel like you're not where you should be at this age or at this point in your life. put that in the front of your mind, but let's dive into that. I call this the 5 levels of why. You got to ask yourself what's bothering you, and then why, and then you just keep following. Okay, why is it bothering? What is it about? Why does that happen? Why did that happen? And you trace it all the way back to the origins and then address it. And for me, a lot of that of I don't feel like I should be where I want to be in life is because social media. This is a term that is rarely discussed, but it's called toxic positivity. If you're listening to this right now, toxic positivity does exist.
Dude,
it's these motherfuckers out there projecting their bullshit on social media about how perfect their life is. And I know a lot of these people personally. Oh, fuck yeah. I mean,
I know a lot of them personally too.
Yeah, right. And I'm
like, you're a motherfucking liar,
you're
dude.
A fucking liar.
You just got your dick sucked by somebody else, and you're married to a fine ass woman.
I know,
but you're making it all look perfect, and that's just one example.
Are
bro.
these motherfuckers out there in the GOP or the political realm of like the Republicans are the worst about projecting or presenting this clean, fine Christian demeanor. I'm in my truck with a fucking gun and a Bible, reading a scripture. It's like you just fucked 2 prostitutes in Vegas. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, be honest.
God.
Just be honest about
Preach,
this shit.
son.
But we can't do that because if we do, we have to show how real and raw we are. And that's why I've always prided myself on just being transparent with people. Like I made a post the other day. It was like weeks ago. Said, hey, I'm having a shit day today, but I want you to know it because these days happen. Like these things do fucking happen.
People feed off of the good, man.
Oh fuck!
They feed off of
people
the
feed
good
more
of
off the negativity.
Well, so people feed off of the good of you saying I have a problem.
Oh yeah.
That's what I meant.
Okay, But you on social
media,
media,
motherfuckers don't want to be educated, dude. They want to be entertained. That's the truth.
Exactly. Yes.
People don't want to be educated. They want to be entertained.
The 3 C's of social media: cute, controversial, or comedy. You want to go viral. You want to get famous on social media.
Pull your titties and asshole out for one.
I mean, it's the fucking truth.
Or be fucking crazy and make crazy videos like I used to.
Do social media beef, have wars with people, and I try to like pull away from that shit. I had a big beef with you, shit, Thomas, the rest of them. And now I'm just like, dude, do what you want.
Yeah.
Like I'm not beefing with these people anymore. You live your life, I'll live mine. But people feed off this drama and this negativity. If I put up a positive post on my Instagram or shit, and I don't really give a fuck about the likes, but
Nobody
I always
cares.
watch because I want to see how people respond to shit, the human condition. I put something positive up, bro, minimal interaction. I put something negative up, boom, motherfuckers love that. And that's why our politicians have turned into celebrities, internet celebrities. Everything is drama fed. So when I tell these veterans, it's like, you're feeling suicidal, you're feeling negative, you're feeling depressed. What the fuck are you allowing into your life and what are you responding to? So if it's nothing but negativity, no fucking wonder. And some of this negativity can come in the form of toxic positivity because you look at these other veterans, veteran A, oh, he owns this multi-million-dollar company, but you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You don't know what that person's been through. You don't know what they're currently dealing with now. Maybe they're a fucking rape victim. You just don't fucking know. So instead, you are comparing yourself to something that's not fucking real. How insane and stupid is that? And I'm fucking guilty of it. I am guilty of it because I'll see my friends out there just fucking crushing it, doing wonderful things, and then you get to know them behind the scenes like, man, you're one of the most fucked up motherfuckers. Like, I don't know how you haven't killed yourself yet. Like, I'm being honest. Like, I don't know how the fuck you haven't eaten a bullet yet. And it's just like, wow. And it's not that I'm happy for them being fucked up. I'm just like, I'm glad I saw this because now I understand it's not just me. It's them too. They're just not talking about it.
100% they're not.
And that's their choice.
And that's a fucking, I think that's a strict business move.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Strictly a business move. But I'm in the business of just telling you the truth. Bro, let me tell you something. I've cheated. I've done crazy shit. I've banged married women. I've done dumb shit.
You're a veteran, yeah.
Where I'm like,
You're
bro,
yeah.
I'm not gonna do that anymore. Like that's just a part of my life. I don't want to do that. And you and I have a mutual old friend. Mm-hmm. Okay, I will not say the name of this person.
Yeah.
Who is huge on social media right now? Mm-hmm. Who got their start with you and I?
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Let me tell you something.
This motherfucker, I know.
Bro, let me tell you.
Those things will make the
We're not going to dive into this person, but I will tell you a story that is I don't know if it'll blow your mind, but you're going to go, what?
Nothing blows my mind. After the fucking 8-inch dildo story, ain't nothing you're going to say
no
blow my mind.
No shit, right?
Unless it was him that was in the car that you pulled the dildo out.
Well, so right after I got off of social media, well, no, I'm sorry. This is only about a year ago. This girl reaches out to me that I hadn't talked to in a long time. We used to kind of have a thing, but I'd never even met her before. I met her on social media. She was like, "Do you know this person?" And I was like, "Yeah, why?" She just literally sends me a text and says, "Do you know this person?" I said, "Yeah, why?" And she says, "Well, because I look at their Instagram, and she admitted, she's like, I'm in the wrong, but I just want to get this off my chest. She says, I see the Instagram with this person and their wife, and all happy, 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 happy. And then she sends me a photo of him in her bed and says, every time he comes into town, he pays a little visit to me, but he puts on this front. And she's like, I took a photo of him naked in my bed, and it was a selfie of her with him back there, and he's passed out. And I'm like, what? This is some Justin Bieber shit, dude. And I'm like, how do you get on the internet and you claim all this shit? You make all these motherfuckers believe that you are God and all these rants and all this other bullshit, but you're doing this type of shit behind your wife and your kids' back, but you're telling all of us that you're fucking perfect. It makes no sense to me whatsoever.
It's that toxic positivity.
When in the end, I remember right after I got a divorce, I had literally got on the internet one day and I admitted, somebody had said, oh, I heard you fucked somebody's wife. I got on the internet and I said, I damn sure did. However, I did not know that this bitch was married until I walked downstairs after I just fucking railed her out from the back. I went into their spare bathroom and I saw a picture of her and him on the wall. I didn't say anything. I was just like, oh, shit. Yeah. And I was like, oh, damn.
You can't be faulted for that.
Dude, no, it made me feel so weird.
Yeah.
But in the end, after she had ended up getting divorced anyway, but she had said, she was like, yeah, I fucked Tank Machine or whatever. And I was like, why would you even, if you fuck
Status
me or
symbol.
I fuck you,
Status
I'm
symbol.
not telling anybody that I'm doing that.
Right.
I fucked a lot of people, dude. A lot of people on the internet that people know right now. I have literally shot my load in their mouth. It, like, deep, dude. I fucked women with, I fucked a chick with 1 million followers who, bro, and she liked to get fucked in the ass. She liked me to shoot my load down her throat, and she loved it when I choked her out so she almost blacked out. But I'm
not knocking that. I mean, if
no,
that's the
I'm
thing that's
not.
your
But
thing,
I will never say her fucking name because I promised her that.
No.
She looked me in the eye that night and was like, she's like, please do not ever. She's like, I want to fuck, but please do not ever say this to anybody. And I was like, yo, I'm about to bust a load in your fucking ass. Shut up, bitch. And I went to town. But I swore that I would never say nothing. This bitch literally used me for clout and says, yeah, I fucked Tank Machine. She tells her girlfriend that. And then she was like, oh, so he fucked you? She gets mad at me, writes me and says, you fucked my girl when she was married? I'm like, yo, think about what you just said, bitch.
Yeah.
I fucked her when she was married, but I didn't know she was married until I went downstairs into the bathroom to literally wash my hands and my face, and I saw a picture of her and her fucking husband on the wall. Yeah. There was nothing in the room or even walking in when I came in late at night that night. I shot my load in her fucking mouth, and then I go to leave, and that's when I found out. I was like, I didn't say nothing because it kind of freaked me out, honestly. Like, what is this bitch going to say about me?
Yeah.
But she told somebody, and then her friend gets mad at me, and I'm like, yo, your friend is the fucked up one, stupid.
Yeah.
Like, she's fucked up. Why are you not talking shit to your friend? Because dude, I'm telling you this right now, John. I know you being my buddy. If I'm banging some bitch out behind Sam's back, and you find out about it, there's going to be two things that are going to happen. You're going to say, hey, this is none of my fucking business, so I'm not going to get into it, but you need to make better decisions. That's what you would do as my friend.
But now I think for me, I've kind of changed my positioning over the year. Now it's one of those things of ain't my business, not my pig, not my farm. I'm staying the fuck out of it. Because the problem is that, and I'm not.
But I guarantee you would tell me, like, hey, bro, like, it's none of my business, but maybe you need to make better, like, decisions for your business. Because in the end, just like what happened a month ago with that issue, I was like, hey, man, send me that screenshot of what you're telling me. And you didn't send me the screenshot.
Yeah.
And you were like, it's none of my business.
Yeah.
I get it. So that's the best thing to fucking do.
Yeah.
I did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
But in the end, like, that chick should have been like, yeah, it's none of my fucking business, dude. Like, I'm out. Like, I don't need to be spreading some stupid fucking rumor.
That's the
so
problem.
In the end, when I got that photo, about unnamed person, I was like, that's fucked up, but it's none of my fucking business. I'll leave it to be.
And it doesn't surprise me. Nothing surprises me anymore as far as these people.
Nothing surprises
the people
me
that scream the loudest about projecting the sense of morality. Like, I know these, and I'm not attacking Republicans, but I know these big events they go to, because they all preach like traditionalism, marriage, yada, all this stuff. And again, I'm in the state of mind to where I don't care what you do. It's your life. You live it as you see fit. If you want to go out there and have unprotected sex and you don't want to be married, I don't care. It's completely do what makes you happy.
Yeah, 100%.
You've got one life. But the one thing I do take issue with is the people that portray themselves in a certain light that are fucking liars. Like, stop. And I'm still not going to go after them. It's like, people, karma has a way of catching up to you. In my 37 years on this earth, I know for a fact karma will catch you. Whether you want to call it God, not some spaghetti flying monster in the sky, karma will come back. And I think I've got a lot of karma coming my way too from dumb shit I've done and the dumb shit I've said and done in the past. And we're all human beings, but there are people that still to this day continue. But there are these massive Republican gatherings that are fuckfests. So and I've had people hit me up like coming into town, large major influencers like, hey, I'm gonna be in town. You want to fuck? And I'm just kind of like, I thought you were supposed to be like this picturesque portrait of conservatism.
The question is, did you say it after you fucked them or
no? Because that's one of those things of like it's not going to lead anywhere good. It's like hooking up with these people. So
see, you're a better man than I am because I fucked them all.
There was a while that I was going through after my most recent divorce. I was fucking a lot of random women.
Yeah,
like because I didn't know how to date, and I started to realize that I am fucked up inside. There was so much stuff that I had to deal with after my divorce that I realized about myself that I was like, I've got to work on this. Like I've got to realize that these are just things that I was internalizing a lot of shit from my past that I realized like I'm projecting it onto people and it's not fair to them. So I started to understand it's like I got to stop dating because I'm hurting people. But even though I would go into these things saying, you know, I'm not looking for anything serious or whatever the case, it would still hurt people. So it's like it's better to just pull out and no pun intended, but just not put yourself in that kind of situation. So I think a lot of people out there, they portray themselves as being this perfect Christian shining
100%.
examples. Like, you're out there banging prostitutes. And, you know, wouldn't it feel better to just come out and just be honest with people? Like, hey, I like hookers.
Dude, I think it was 2018, right?
Not me personally. I don't pay for sex.
Right before I got off of social media completely, I was the guest of honor at a Marine Corps ball in San Diego. I think it was Miramar's ball. Anyway, I fucked 5 different women in that same day. I had a badass hotel in downtown San Diego. It was like a $1,500 a night hotel, and it overlooked the ocean and all that other bullshit. Well, I fucked 5 different female Marines in the same day, like a 3-hour split span.
The fact that you have that kind of stamina is very impressive.
Well, dude, here's the deal.
It's not even that you fucked 5 women. It's the fact that you had the stamina to fuck 5 women. It's
I don't know how I did it, but I'll tell you what.
Semper Fi, devil dog. Semper Fi, devil dog.
The next day, I was like, yo.
And this is the reason why veterans are the way we are. Like, you have this picture of us, like, on the front line with, like, the bugles, like, just, charge. And then when we're in the garrison, we're horny alcoholics.
Dude,
is all we
that's the truth. I was drinking and I was fucking. And bro, it was like
that's what the troops do. We like to drink, fucking fight. That's how it
dude, I had, you know, this between Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, I would just announce that I was gonna be somewhere and I'd say, who wants to hang out? Dude, people would be like, hey, I want to hang out. And I would meet them, and then, well, by the end of the night, I was fucking them. So I would estimate I've fucked at least 1,000 women in the last 5 years.
Whew.
And I'm like, dude.
That's like up there with Gene Simmons. Like,
bro,
I forget what his number was.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
Gene Simmons came out and talked about he'd slept with thousands of women. I think it was him or somebody from Aerosmith. I forget who it was.
They were like 20,000. I think that was, yeah. It's been about 1,000. Yeah, it's been a lot. And you know what's funny is I tell my lady that, and she laughs. She's like, "Well, I'm glad that you did that." And
that means she's secure in that you're related. And that's
she's
good.
Straight
that's
secure
good,
because I'm not a fucking idiot.
I cannot stand when those insecurities surface from people that you're talking to, and they will make some kind of statement that's rooted in insecurity. It's like, you want the fucking truth? I will tell you the truth. And thank God it's not the woman I'm with.
She likes it when I tell her stories. She thinks it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude, she thinks it's hilarious because she's told me stories, and I'm like. It doesn't bother me. I'm like, for real? I'm like, did he at least get off?
That's crazy because the girl I'm with right now, I have this weird feeling sometimes because of the history of people I've been with in the past that if she says like, oh, so and so's attractive, like another woman, I'm just kind of like, is this a test? Like, are you testing me? And she doesn't care.
Sam's not like that. You know,
that's a great person to be around because then that's when the honesty can actually come out.
Straight
and those
up.
insecurities are not directing their behavior. And so to me, that's so fucking weird. And a lot of that came from my mom.
Dude.
A lot of that came from my mom because when I went to this therapist, I realized that a lot of the things that I projected onto my girl were from my mother. Not in a sense, I'm talking about like pouting.
Yeah,
like the biggest, like I'm gonna be honest with you, the biggest thing I can't fucking stand is when a woman pouts, or a man for that matter. It's like if you have an issue with me, fucking come to me and let's talk about it.
Yeah,
the pouting shit is what my mom used to do, and it would drive me so like it angers me. And then I was realizing that when other people would do it, it was me projecting those feelings of what she had done in my past onto them. And so it was this deep understanding. But it's the beauty of having somebody, like you said with Sam, that is so secure in the relationship and what you have that you could say, oh, dude, she's hot as fuck. Or she can say, oh, he's hot as fuck. And you don't take that personally. It's like, you're with me for a reason. I'm with you for a reason. And this other shit that people like I've been in relationships in the past where you can't be honest with each other. When you cannot be open and honest, it's kind of like, it's like, oh, would you fuck so and so? It's like, if I was single, yeah, 100%. They're very attractive. But I'm with you. I could fuck them if I want to, but I'm with you because I love you. I like you. I get along with you.
I get along with Sam like she's my best friend, dude.
That's
she accepts me for who I am and all the things that I say. And like, this has been a few months back, but we actually ran into somebody that jacked me off. Like, this chick fucking jacked me off on her. Dude, I shot my load on her face. That's all she wanted. She's like, I just want you to shoot your load on my face. And I'm like, okay. So I told
twist my arm out on
dude,
you.
I told Sam this, and she's like, well, I could see why. And I was like, what?
And the crazy thing is, did that not make her even more attractive to you?
Dude, I was like, God, I can't wait to get home and eat your ass, you know? But I'm like, what the fuck? But she's like, yeah, I can see why. She's beautiful. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Express that emotional honesty. It brings you closer.
She doesn't care, dude. Yeah. And it's made me like want to be with her that much more because I'm like, dude, this is so rare.
Yeah.
Because it makes you not want to go find somebody else.
It makes you feel like you can actually open up. Like
100%, man.
There was a while like, and I don't think I've ever told this story. When I was on the set of American Grit with Cena and the rest of them, I was still kind of single-ish. And he even told me, pulled me aside, he's like, you need to go out there and sow your wild oats. He's like, you haven't done it. Because we roomed together for like 2 months, and I told him everything. We got to know each other very well. I was just coming out of a 10-year marriage, and he was like, you've never gone wild, have you? I was like, no. He says, you need to go wild. And so I did. I downloaded fucking Tinder, and I started fucking random women. And I came to find out as of my last dating period of fucking random women, it's not what it's cracked up to be. Like, it's really not. Because, number one, I don't want to go too deep into it because it's just me personally, but I realize like there's no depth there, no pun intended. It's like some people can do that, and I'm not knocking it, but for me, it's not for me. I can fuck these random women if I want. You get your nut off, you're good. There's no connection, then they leave. Yeah. Or you find someone that you actually connect with. There's a sexual attraction, and then you care emotionally about the outcome of that encounter because you want to make sure they're taken care of, and then vice versa. But I realized like a lot of these relationships were just, or not related. A lot of these encounters were just using each other. But I think it was using each other to have needs get met, but there were still emotional gaps that were not being filled, and it left me feeling incomplete. It left me feeling just not the way I thought it would be. And that's just me personally. Now, other people can go out there and fuck random men or random women. I'm not knocking that. If that's your thing and that's how you do it, more power to you. More power to you. It's just that I think, like we talked about before, there comes a period in your life where you start to identify your traits, positive and toxic, and start to understand the game plan about yourself. It's like,
what's good for me, what's not.
What's good for me and what's not. And then how do I mitigate this from happening again in the future? And I've unintentionally hurt a few people, and it was not intentional.
So have I.
And it was just one of these things that I realized, like, you can go into this, telling someone that, you don't want anything or with a kid, and you're gonna do some damage. And it was actually, I realized that, and it's like, it's not good. So it's like, don't put yourself in that situation. Don't.
I think it hurts you more than it ends up hurting anybody else. Like,
I mean,
you go home and you're, I used to go home and I'm like, I remember one time, dude, I invited this girl over. She actually lived in Fort Worth, Texas. I had this badass place downtown.
I swear to God, if it was my mom, no,
no, it wasn't. I would have vetted that. But she hits me up and she's like, hey, would you like to hang out sometime? I'm like, sure. Well, I already knew that she just wanted to fuck me by the way that she was talking to me.
Yeah.
So she comes over that night. She ends up, like, I wasn't really, once I saw her in person, she kind of catfished me a little bit. That's just the truth, dude. Her angles and all that.
Yep. Bro, that's like the rules of Tinder. If it's a high angle shot or social media, if it's a high angle shot, she's fat. If there's a lot of white light, she has a skin condition, or she has a big nose trying to blind it. 100%. I learned that game a long time ago.
And I was like, so I met her and I was like, yo, I was like, oh, okay, cool. So we start hanging out and she's like, can I suck your dick? And I was like, fuck yeah. So I ended up letting her blow me. And then I felt so fucking empty, man. I was like, yo, am I desperate? Like, am I not good enough? Like, what the fuck is wrong with me to fuck somebody that's out of my standard? And I'm not saying that if you're a little overweight, you're out of my standard. What I'm saying was that I should have stood up for myself and been like, you're using me.
Yeah.
Like, you gave me all these angles and spit all this shit to me that everything's great, and then you show up and you're completely different looking than like you fucking used me.
Yeah.
And I felt used. I should have been like, no, like you're not who you say you are. So instead, I let my emotions get the best of me, and I was like, fuck, I'll just get my rocks off and I'll be done. Dude, as petty as that sounds, it fucked me up for like a couple weeks. I was like, damn, dude, like why? Like, why did I even do that? And then finally, here's another crazy part that kind of ties into this is a couple weeks later, my good friend Dusty Gaskins, I grew up with this fucking guy. I was staying with him for a few weeks. This chick who was a Marine, she got out. She's living up in like Denton, Texas. Dude, she was a banger in her photos. And she had huge tits, fat ass, and I was super excited. She hits me up. She's like, Tank, you spoke at my Marine Corps ball last year, and I live in Denton now. Can we hang out sometime? I was like,
and you already know where that's going too. It's like,
yeah.
oh, okay.
I was like, bro, I looked at her and I was like, fuck yeah. So I told her, I was like, yeah, meet me out at the house. She comes to the house. My buddy Dusty's like, yeah, man, I want to see her when she comes in. So I was like, cool, whatever. I didn't remember her from the ball. Dude, she walks up, and I'm like, yo, she's walking up, and she's getting taller and taller and taller. And I was like, I looked at him, and I was like, dude, she told me she was 5'7". And Dusty goes, God damn, you play for the Mavericks? That's what he said to her. And I go, yeah. I was like, hey, I was like, how tall are you?
Weird.
And she's like, I'm 6'1". And I was like, you told me you were 5'7". She's like, I know, I'm sorry. And I was like, why would you lie about that?
Yeah.
And Dusty was like, well, if you don't fuck her, I will. And I was like, dude, I was like, no, time to go. I was like, no, you lied to me, man. I was like, you fucking lied to me. Like, you're 6'1". You know, most people be like, hell yeah. But I got to this point in my life where I was like, dude, I need more than just like that wham, bam, thank you, ma'am moment. And so I went like 5 months of not saying shit to nobody, not talking to anybody or whatever. And I remember how I met, when I met Sam was we met on Instagram, and she one lined to me. She one lined me. She's like, I wrote her something, and she's like, oh, cool. And I'm like, what the fuck? So
do you know who I am?
Yeah, I was never that person to say that, but in the end,
I influence people on the internet, damn it.
Dude, there are people that say
influential.
that. There's people that say that.
Oh, 100%,
I fucking can't stand that. But
I use that when I troll people that they come at you sideways like that, and I give them what they want.
I
feed into that
read your
stereotype.
messages, and it's hilarious.
Oh, fuck yeah.
But
You're
like,
so arrogant. It's like, well, because I know my place. I'm not a peasant. Fuck out of here.
Dude, when I met Sam, she didn't give a fuck about any of that. She didn't care about social media, none of that stuff, and that's what attracted me most to her. So I felt like sometimes the point of what I'm saying is sometimes you got to go through the trenches, and you got to fuck up, and you got to sleep with a bunch of people, and you got to make mistakes and all this other stuff to really get to the person or the thing that you truly want in life or that makes you happy.
You got to go through a lot of shit to find the diamond, 100%.
You do,
I
man.
think there's a lot of people out there that they don't do that. And yet it's always in the back of their mind. It's like, oh, man, like legitimately they think the grass is greener. And then for people like us, it's like, no, I literally have to go find out. Like, you can tell me the stove is hot. I'm still going to touch it because I have to know.
I've been that person.
But that's identifying how our personalities and characters are. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just understanding that's your nature and being able to have a deeper understanding of yourself so you can explain to yourself, like, this is why I fucked up in the past because this, and this. Mm-hmm. But it's because of this, and this that caused that. And then we address the deeper underlying issues. And that's where I think people actually work on getting better. So like I said, with communication with my girl, for me, it was identifying a lot of toxic traits that I have that I actually didn't realize were toxic because I use these same traits in debate and stuff like that. But when it comes to an actual relationship, this isn't going to benefit you. And she said something that I will never forget. She's like, I don't want us to fight each other. I want us to fight for each other. And of course, ego is there. It's like, you want to disagree with it because you just want to be right because it's the fucking ego. But then, when we broke up and I actually thought about it a lot, I had some time to kind of go over the shit that I had done. It was the understanding that she was right on a lot of the stuff. But at the time, in the heat of the moment, I didn't agree with that. But it's funny, and that's also identifying a trait about myself as to where when I feel myself getting upset about something, stop, get the fuck away, let your body relax, calm down, and then think about it with a fresh perspective. And then a lot of people will realize, like, yeah, maybe in the heat of the moment I shouldn't make statements. And the things you say, that's the other thing I learned about her, is that the things that you say will have a lasting impact. Even if you go back and you apologize later, they will always remember what you said. Even if you didn't mean it, the fact that you said it. And that was another hard lesson that I've learned, to where it's just like, don't say things out of anger in these arguments that you're going to regret later. Now, if you're just being honest about something, like, this is how I feel, versus like, well, you're a fat alcoholic mother. It's like, well, there's no taking that back.
For sure.
Versus like saying, hey, this kind of hurts, or like, hey, this bothers me, or like, hey, can we work on this? So it's like that story of the fence. I always tell people, it's like this father had a son, and the son had an anger issue. And he told the son, you know, the people at school were like, we can't have him back. He's too angry. He says things, he does things, he's violent. And so the dad said, he brought his son home. He's like, every time you come home feeling angry, I want you to take a nail and drive it into that wooden fence out there. So the son would go to school, somebody would get him angry, he'd come home, put a nail in the fence. And so then the father would say, now here's the thing. As you get older, you're going to work on controlling this. When you actually control it, when you get over something, when you address something and you put it behind you, go pull a nail out of the fence. So after the years, suddenly there's less nails. There's more nails getting pulled out. And then finally, the son goes from being, 7, 8, teenager, and now he's a young adult. And the dad takes the son out there and says, look, you see that fence out there? He's like, there isn't a single nail in it. You've accomplished it. You've overcame it. He's like, but look at all the holes you left in it. That's all the damage you did while getting to where you're at now. So don't think that your journey on becoming better is without damage towards other people. So keep that in mind when you're going through something. It's like, I'm trying to be better, but what kind of damage are you leaving in your wake? And that's like a lot of my own personal realizations have been, is like, I've left a lot of damage in my wake. And it doesn't make you a bad person. I think a bad person is somebody that looks back at that damage and says, what the fuck ever. Fuck it. Versus like, yeah, I regret a lot of the things I've said and I've done. I do regret that. That's human nature. And that's what social media has created in this age of cancel culture and all this bullshit, that it's like society wants to back you into this corner where you have to double down on the things that you fucked up in the past. And it's like, no, you really don't. You can say, hey, I'm sorry. I fucked up. I did this wrong. I shouldn't have done it this way. But hindsight is 20/20, and youth is wasted on the youth. Like, when we get old, there's a reason older people usually have more wisdom and they're smarter. They've done more. So when these Zoomers come out there and they're talking about all this, it's like, shit, sit down and shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. And that's the thing that, like, Zoomers aggravate me more than anybody online. It's like these young kids that are in their teenagers. I see their high school graduation years, like 2022. I don't even want to hear what you have to say. Shut the fuck up. You don't know dick about fuck. You have no experience in life. Like, get the fuck out of here. Now, these older motherfuckers, these older dudes that are crusty, I'll listen to them. Because now, like, being older in life, it's like I actually do more listening to other people that have been through more. Like, when JT comes, I'll listen to what he has to say. Or things such as that, or people that have been, veterans of other wars. Like, you listen to these guys, like, no, it makes perfect sense.
Absolutely, man. Dude, that fucking nail in the fence, wow.
Yeah.
That was deep.
There's so many stories out there that I've had told to me that now, looking back, and it's almost poetically beautiful, looking back is like, I get it now. I get it. And I regret looking down in my past and seeing all the damage I've done in people's lives. But the other part of it is, and this is where we get really deep. We get even deeper. That's what she said. That past damage that you created in your life, and this is something that I kind of realized about myself. I was like, and you regret how you've hurt people, but how arrogant is it of me to think that the damage I did is lasting in their life? How arrogant of me to think that they didn't move on and actually grow from it and actually bettered it. Not to get too deep, but the guy that raped you, how better are you now as a result of the damage that he did in your life? How much stronger are you now who are going to turn around and impact somebody else's life in a positive manner? So it's kind of like, we can have that moment of humbleness and the moment of regret, but don't get so arrogant that you think that something you did is going to have such a lasting impact and that person is so weak that they can't move on past it. And it's not giving you an excuse or a reason to be a shitty human being. It's like, I'm doing this for your own betterment. It's just saying, like, don't beat yourself up too much, and don't think that they're so weak that they can't move beyond it. And it's like, but you should feel bad about the shit you do in your past that's fucked up, but also understand that you learn from it and you're a better person, and don't let people make you feel bad about those prior fuck-ups. Like, I get messages all the time. It's like, that's why your fucking wife left you. It's like, well, that's not actually what happened. It's like, but the fact that you want to try and use that and weaponize it against me to make me feel bad, you're not. I was like, you don't know this situation. But, I mean, that whole fiasco.
So much like people in comments, man.
Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, they bro, they try and go right for the fucking heart, and it's just like, bro, I'm heartless. You're not gonna hit any. There's nothing there. No, not really. But people are like that. That's social media. That's the internet. And then people don't like it when you block them. Like, people will come in there and they'll act like complete little shitheads, and then you block them. It's like, you're not coming into my house and disrespect me like that. Blocked. Like, I made a post about hiking in Utah with my girlfriend, and this one dude's like, well, good thing you didn't tell everybody about it. I'm like, it's a post about hiking. No politics, nothing. Literally just mountains of Utah almost threw up my heart. well, you fucking telling everybody about it, and you look at these people's profile, and it's like, you're a fucking loser, dude.
Yeah.
You're a fucking loser.
You eat McDonald's every day. Shut the fuck up.
It blows my mind that people are so just, I don't know. Like, I don't know what goes through their minds. And so instantly, I got to work on this. Like, I'll clap back on these motherfuckers. But then I think a lot of people are doing that. A lot of people do that to get clapped. And it's like, okay, I'm kind of like baiting my hook to get more of these people. Instead, the hardest thing for me is just to ignore them. Like, block, move on. And I tell them that too now. It's to the point where it's like, I'm going to forget you even existed in 3, 2, what? And you just forget.
Yeah.
You block the motherfuckers and you move on.
I had a guy that I blocked like 10 times.
Oh my God.
And he
you get
creating pages and like writing.
Yep.
And dude, Sam found his page and she tries to FaceTime him. And she's like, I'm gonna stand up for you. Fuck this guy. And I was like, you know what? Fuck.
It's not worth
let's
it.
not do this. Bro. It's not gonna be worth my time and my effort. In the end, it's a waste of my time. But I do enjoy like reading good messages and seeing awesome photos that people send me or whatever, you know.
Or seeing people do good.
Yeah, man.
Like people out there being successful. I respect the hell out of that.
Dude, if somebody is way more successful than me, I want them to be 10 times more successful than what they actually are. Like, that's just how it should be.
I hope your life is as good as you pretend it is on social media.
Yeah, man. Like, I hope and pray that somebody's praying for me, too, to be better. Because back in the day, man, like, I used to portray a certain way when it really wasn't. I was struggling, and I was pissed. And I remember rolling around in a Lamborghini for a week, and all these people thought it was mine, but all I had to say was, no, it's not mine. It's my friend's. But it made it seem like it was mine. When I'm like, bro, I should have just said, not my car. Yeah. Like, here we are, you know, it's cool. I get to ride around my friend's Lamborghini for a week, you know? Yeah. And I look at some of these people now and I'm like, bro, I know this person in real life and they're fucking horrible. Yeah. And that's not true. Oh, and that's not true. Yeah. Yep, I fucked you. Yep. And nope. Yeah, you're not Christian. You're not out what you pretend to be. Like you like in the booty double P'd. Like all this weird shit that all these people say. Like this is how I am. And this isn't everybody because there are some people out there.
There's some genuinely good people
that portray good lives, that have good lives because they've built that consistency and they're just. That's all they're about.
But even those people, you know, behind the scenes, they have their own demons.
100%. But I've seen too many people that I have been involved with, or I know personally, or I've been acquaintances with that have some fucked up situations that portray themselves to be something that they're not.
Oh yeah,
or to be in a better light than what they actually are.
Dude, it's that cliche statement of I would rather be loved for who I am or I would rather be hated 100%. For who I am than loved than what I'm not.
You used to do business with a guy. Who owns a company now. He's got like 500,000 or 600,000 followers on Instagram. It's never grown any more than that because I think he bought a lot of his shit.
A lot of people do, yeah.
I remember he got paid like don't quote me on this, but I'm estimating it was $5 to $10 grand from what I had heard from the company that hired him to do an appearance at some event one time. They asked me, they're like, hey, man, if we paid you, will you come to this event and make an appearance? I was like, fuck yeah. They're like, how much do you want? I said, just give me $500 for gas and a flight. And they're like, what? I was like, yeah, I don't need no extra money. I'm just standing at a goddamn booth for 2 hours for you. So just give me $500. So that's how much I would make in that day anyway. So give me $500. Gave me $500, and I heard the scuttlebutt of we just paid this person $5 to $10 grand or whatever it was because he's supposedly somebody super famous on social media. Bro, not one fucking person showed up to that booth to take a photo with him. And he walked away, and he went to hang out at other booths and bullshit with people, and they were like, wow, we just wasted all that money. And I was like, so I looked at his Instagram about 6 months ago, just creeping a little bit, and he had the same amount of followers as he did 4 years ago. And I was like, bro, this guy he's done nothing. He's got a business that's successful, got it. But back then, he was portraying himself to be something that he wasn't. Is he doing that now? I have no clue. I'm not going to talk shit about him. I just know that situation or that circumstance. Yeah. There are people that have gone 4 to 5 years on social media that have portrayed to be themselves one way when they have not been at all. Yeah. And it's disturbing because what it's creating is this fucking false platform for people somebody to look up to when in reality they're looking up to the wrong person.
Yeah. 100%.
When I would rather have somebody that's fucked up
Or the
and tells
projection
the
of
truth.
somebody that's fake, yeah.
Absolutely. I would rather have somebody that's just telling me the fucking truth every
Yeah.
day, and I'm like, damn, I didn't want to hear that. But
I think there's
what?
going to be a shift in social media from what you just said. I think it's 100% accurate that these fake, toxic positivity, lying people are starting to wake up and realize that it's not real. And they're going to start wanting to be with the assholes. They're going to want to follow the assholes because they realize the assholes are the ones that are telling you what you don't want to hear, which is exactly what you do need to hear.
Yep,
when you sit there and you talk about like obesity glorification killing more people than fucking anything else in this country, and then people don't like me because I'm hurting feelings. Oh, you just hate fat people.
You're
It's
a
like,
liar.
no.
It's COVID.
Yeah, it's COVID. Well, people don't realize that because they're so mentally weak.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
then eventually down the road, I've had a lot. Very, very rare does it happen, but it has happened. To where I'll get a message from somebody on a new account and say, "Hey, this is so and so. I want to apologize. Like I was rude to you years ago for what you said, and I was rude because it hurt me, and because of that, I've lost like 50 pounds." I'm like, yeah, because I'm going to tell you what you don't want to hear, which is exactly what you do need to hear. Like, people don't like it, but fat shaming does fucking work. Not in all cases. But when you say it's like, hey, you're a fat fuck, change your life. People are kind of like, oh, fuck, that's so rude. It's like, but at the same token, what's going to do more damage in the long run? Someone telling you you're fat and it's not healthy and you change and you get healthier and you have a better quality of life, or somebody that's going to, be in your ear saying, hey, it's okay. They should love you no matter how you are, which they should. Nobody's saying they should, and it's like a false dichotomy there. Like you're juxtaposing a position that doesn't even exist. It's like, but to sit there and have somebody telling you in your one ear that you're perfect just the way you are, you don't need to change, the world should change its view of you. Well, those views exist for a reason, and they're backed in science. So it's not me saying, hey, I think you're a bad human being and I hate you and I want you to die. It's saying I want you to actually have a good life, a good quality of life, a long life that, people don't have to fucking see you in a hospital bed years later now that COVID hits, and like 81% of the death rate or 82% of the death rates from COVID are obesity related.
Obesity.
People that have very compromised immune systems are obese. And then I seem to remember some dude like saying years ago, I was like, hey, stop being fucking fat. And people hated this guy. I'm the guy, by the way. It's me. And then suddenly nobody's around fucking saying, hey, that asshole drill sergeant was actually kind of right.
Yeah.
Instead, they're like, oh, fucking woe is me. It's like I'm sitting here going, I kind of told you.
I think I remember watching that video.
I kind of told people. I warned them. I warned you.
And I think you and I hooked up like 3 months after that on the road. And
It was down in
Georgia.
Georgia.
Savannah.
It was
Yep.
Georgia, yeah.
Yep.
Yep. That's
We
when
went and bought wigs and shit.
Yeah.
and we were just doing dumb shit.
I was
man.
still with Ashley at the time. Yeah, you came over
Yeah,
to
you
our
were,
house.
yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. I
Ashley was
remember
a
that now.
sweetheart. She was a good person.
Yeah, she was. From
Hopefully
what
she's
I,
doing
from what
good
I
now.
remember,
Yeah.
she was super nice to me.
I think she's still in the Air Force. I know she moved back up north. I hope she's doing okay. She probably doesn't like me,
I mean,
It is what it is.
we live and we learn.
Yeah. 100%. That was just one of those things that she was very into. I don't want to put her business out there, but she was always a sweetheart. She's a good human being.
Yeah, she was super cool to me, man.
So I hope she's doing good well now. But anyway, we got a wrap, dude. It is 11:55. We've been going for almost 2 fucking hours.
No shit.
2 fucking hours.
I think this is a great podcast.
I think it's probably the best one we've done yet.
Wow.
So that's awesome. So where can they find you online?
Tank Machine XX.
Tank Machine XX on Instagram.
TankMachineXX.
People are asking
on
like,
Instagram.
are you gonna launch a Twitch?
Really? Somebody asked
Yeah,
that?
people were asking like, is this guy gonna launch a Twitch?
Dude, what is fucking Twitch?
Twitch is what we're doing right now. Like we're live on Twitch, and then I'm gonna rip the video and audio off of Twitch and upload it to YouTube, SoundCloud, and iTunes. But
Wow.
Twitch is essentially it's a platform where you can live stream anything from games to politics to whatever you want. You can talk to your audience, take questions, you can do whatever, and they can subscribe to your channel. Which, by the way, thank you for all the subscribers on the Twitch channel. I appreciate all the bits that you've done, all the donations. I haven't read them because it interrupts the podcast, but thank you very much for all the financial support. You guys are fucking amazing. Yeah, and the people in the comments like you should. I would sub to his Twitch for sure. Got to put yourself out there, man. And people will support you, especially if you're preaching a message that needs to
Yeah.
get out there.
Dude, maybe I will. Maybe you could fucking
I can help you.
Maybe
I
you'd help me with
tried
that.
helping Amory. Like I love Amory. He was getting into it, but he never stayed consistent with it. I was like,
Yeah.
bro, you need to do this. You have this massive
Consistency
following that
will
want to
fucking
talk
keep
to
it.
you.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
That's great, man. I didn't even think about that, but maybe I can. Maybe you'll help me.
Oh, absolutely. So for those that don't know, we're actually going to go into the next episode right after this where we're going to talk about the news. So I'm going to end the stream, then we're going to come back for the next podcast. We're doing 2 in 1 day, so rarity there. But we're going to talk about the explosions in Afghanistan, what's currently going on with that. So I'm going to wrap this one up. I'm going to go take a potty break. I'm going to go say goodbye to you.
Yeah.
And then we're going to relaunch this in about maybe 5 to 10 minutes. So again, I appreciate you can find Tank Big thank you for Tank for coming on the podcast
Thank
today.
you, bro.
At Tank Machine XX. Now your other account, hopefully it comes back, was
Tank 35XX.
Tank 35XX.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can get them. We get that back. But if it doesn't, we'll just push people to you via Twitch.
If all this fails, I'm starting an OnlyFans and I'm showing everybody my cock, man.
Which, by the way, they like we did in yesterday's podcast. They actually came back and said, "Oh, by the way, we are allowing porn now.
Yeah.
So now you can do porn again." So there you go.
I know everybody's excited.
Oh fuck yeah! Big things come in small packages. So there you
Oh,
go.
yeah,
That's why I
love
always
it.
say it's small. Surprise!
It's great, dude. Thanks for having me on, bro.
I'm glad you came on and unloaded all that stuff that I could tell was like it's been bothering you. Like
Dude,
you
I
needed
just
to
want
talk
to keep
about.
it real, man.
That's the way it
I
should
think if
be.
you keep it real, people learn and
Yeah.
they grow from it too. And if I got to take your burden on my shoulders by telling you a little bit of a story that's true, then
Hell yeah.
so be it.
I think it's going to help a lot of people, honestly. I
I think so.
And the thing that sucks about it is that you're never going to see. You won't see who it helps. I mean, people will come back and say, hey, you helped me do it. But the vast majority of people that you actually help with those stories and you're overcoming trials and tribulations, you'll never know.
Yeah.
You'll never know the impact that you had until after you're dead and they do a tribute in your honor, which they should have
sure.
done when you were alive. That's what I don't understand.
For sure.
Yeah. But anyway, love you, brother. Thanks
Love
for
you
coming
too,
on.
bro.
Stream, I'll see you in 5 to 10 minutes.